2+2 is proud to bring you the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
This week on the Pokercast, Ali Nejad and Joe Stapleton. Now here they are, trying to pay for their one-way ticket to Antigua in Bitcoin, Adam and Terrence.
Welcome, everybody, to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. I am your host, A. Schwartz, and joining me, as always, is Mr. T. Chan from back in studio again. Great to have you in studio for another week. How many more weeks of this do we have?
I'm enjoying this. Let's see. Probably got this week, and I probably got next week, and then I'm not going to make any promises. I'll check the weather reports. But no, it's been great hanging out back in the studio with you. And even though we make magic when I'm on the road, it's always a little more better in here. So this week I decided it's
definitely more better,
more improved, more better.
You were making waves about heading down to the Mayan Riviera.
Might hit up Playa del Carmen or Mexico City after talking to JC last week, and I decided I might also want to get caught in some exciting gunfights in the middle of the street. But now heading down there, so I got some plans. Nothing absolutely confirmed right now, but hopefully do something soon and get some sun on this skin.
Somebody made a great comment in the thread just this today, I believe it was, where he said every guest now should have some sort of gunfight story. They make that a prerequisite to come in on the show. Okay, do you have a gunfight story that you can tell?
Exactly. That'll screen out the boring guests.
Exactly. Some sort of canary in a coal mine. Also, who
I brought some company.
An old friend has wandered into the studio with us. Mr. Thomas Koo, head of or ex-head of Central America, South America, somewhere.
Did they
some
give
America?
You a title? What did it say on your business card?
What was your business card? Said live poker manager for the Americas.
For PokerStars, live poker manager for the Americas. Wow,
that sounds like the Americas.
It's any Americas.
It's all of America.
It's like three
right
Americas.
Here, Canada as well.
Well, did we ever have a PokerStars event in Canada?
No, we tried, but
lottery corporations.
Aren't too friendly.
Messed with you?
No, not interested.
I remember there was the first event in Mexico. Were you involved in that one?
Okay, we need that story. So for those, I wanted to ask that story right off the top. It's a great idea.
Set it up.
For those that don't know, was it a NAPT? Was it or was it part of the LAPT?
It was an LAPT.
Okay, so part of the LAPT, they decided that because eventually you want to involve Mexico in this LAPT, a vast number of people, poker
people,
players,
whatever it is,
but it's very difficult, of course, because in Mexico, let's face it, things don't run according to plan a lot of the time. It's a bit of a Wild West, so to speak. So PokerStars decided, okay, screw it, we're going to do it. We're going to have a tournament in Mexico. It didn't go so well.
We decided to do it in Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, and the thing with Mexico, there are no casinos. There's no legal casinos. So you can't have the security of a casino, the cashiers of a casino.
Right.
So basically,
somebody to handle money.
You set up a little booth in the hotel lobby and you take $1 million from all the players, and you say, I'm going to hold on to this for a little bit, and then I'll redistribute it to the winners.
So were you setting this up in a conference center, or what was the actual venue?
Yeah, it was a hotel, like an all-inclusive hotel.
Okay.
So basically, it's
like a Club Med.
Yeah, it was like a Club Med, and we had like families walking around, hanging at the pool and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can have all the food and drink you wanted. We just set it up in like a reception area, and we would just we collected all the money and we put it in the hotel's safe.
Now, when you originally planned this, you must have known there was some sort of chance for this to go sideways. What were the negotiations like with the Mexican authorities leading up to this thing?
Well, I think that was part of the problem was the communications there was done through a third party. And this person claimed to have the proper connections and paperwork. I mean, we did. It
almost sounds like a guy like hanging on the street corner, like, "Hey, I know somebody."
We did. I mean, we had a document, and we had our lawyers look at it, and they agreed that it was an official document. And
This is a piece of paper.
It was a piece of paper with stamps and writing on it.
Yeah.
So I guess they gave us the okay and we went with it. But it was very strange because we started on we didn't have a day 1A and day 1B back then, so we started on a Friday. And it was going to go Saturday and Sunday. It was only a 3-day event.
4 years ago, I want to say.
This was.
I've got it in front of me. It's 2008. It was
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, good memory.
So this is basically. We only had done one season with 3 events, and then we went and did this event.
Oh, this was in year 2.
Yeah, this is year 2.
Okay.
So when we went there on Friday and the tournament had started, there were these 3 kind of oddly looking officials sitting on the side, and basically what happened was
I can see them in my mind right now.
yeah, they were wearing
picture
suits and they weren't talking to anybody, but I think we made a mistake by not approaching them.
They felt like
I think we could have sorted it out because they obviously had demands, and we I think so what happened was as soon as the tournament started and ran.
And this is on day 3, right?
No, this is on day 1.
Oh, just day 1.
Collected all the money.
We've collected all the money.
How many people enter this?
So we got 242, and it was a $2,500 bind event I've got here. So
you got $500,000 in cash lying around.
Yeah. Well, it was in my duffel bag, but that's. But the duffel bag got put into the safe.
It was a big bag, though.
It was a big
It's
bag.
a big ass
and it was
bag.
all like in $5 bills.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so what happened was as soon as the tournament started running and it got into the evening. Right after, I don't know, maybe the dinner break or so, they had all these like local police come in and like lock all the doors and
Lock everybody in.
Yeah, lock everybody in and say, okay, we have to do an inspection. I don't know what kind of inspection. They had to do an inspection, and basically now they were going to kick everybody out of the room and inspect whatever they needed to inspect. And basically,
were they now? Are you thinking at this point? Okay, they've locked the room. They're doing an inspection, which means nothing. Are we going to have to give these guys some money?
Yeah, I think that was probably the original plan, but it didn't happen that way. I think that was the original idea
for them. Do you think that's what they were doing?
Yeah. And I think in hindsight, it was probably like, we should have known that was coming.
Yeah,
all the signs were there. So basically what they did was...
The sign being you were in Mexico.
Yeah, the sign being, we're in Mexico and we were running a tournament.
With money involved. Yeah.
With the money inside just a resort.
Yeah.
So they just came in and said, we have to, like, inspect the thing. And what happens at that time is they waited till 6 p.m., which is when all the government offices close.
Oh.
So then you have no
recourse.
Yeah, you have no recourse till Monday morning.
Yeah.
Well, the tournament ends Sunday night.
Right.
So they basically just shut everybody out and asked everybody to leave the room, and they were going to seal the doors.
Yeah.
And I remember Brad was there, Brad Willis.
Blogger.
The blogger. And he's like, should I take my computer?
Yeah.
I looked at him.
Are they going
to
confiscate it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Take anything that you own.
You want to keep.
Yeah, you want to keep. And the other side thing was, I don't know if you guys know Matt from 411. Productions.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy behind the ESPN production
Sure.
for Moneymakers Year.
Yeah.
Which, when that played over and over and over again
Right.
on ESPN. And so he was there, but he can move all his equipment. I mean, we're talking about,
Of course.
like
giant booms.
booms, the stage,
Yeah.
and it was all his stuff.
And he's worried that they're going to get confiscated.
Well, of course they are. so everybody has to leave the room, and they grab, like kind of the smaller cameras that they can take, and whatever equipment that they can get out of there, and they seal the door, and they actually put that like yellow tape on the door.
Really?
Yeah.
Do not cross.
Yeah, and then they put a guard in front of it. They did let us go in and count the chips, like count the stacks.
Oh,
right.
But it was fairly complicated because it's like they only let 3 people go in, and I don't know who's sitting where.
Oh, right. So you got to write down the seat number.
Yeah, I know. We could go back and check, this seat.
Registration card.
Yeah, registration card. But yeah, so it was a fairly complicated thing. And then everybody had, there was a lot of pressure. I mean, there was guys with machine guns, and they were overlooking the place, and they were like, hurry up, and you're trying to count the stacks.
Yeah.
And
you got a machine gun there.
you're like, I don't care about these stacks. They don't
you
mean
think
anything.
it's hard when you're deciding whether to call a top pair to count the stack.
It's like,
Try an AK-47 pointed at your dome.
Yeah.
Like,
So basically, we counted the stacks. I mean, I wasn't involved in the counting, but yeah, we sent in a couple of guys to count the stacks.
And you did a chip chop, basically. So the story I've got in front of me here is, so you started with 242 players.
Yeah.
You had 89 by the time, I guess, the license was revoked and they kind of threw you out of the room. Ended up functionally doing what PokerStars would do on a chip chop basis if, there was 89 players and the server crashed. Yeah, it was like a server crash.
Yeah. We used the online formula.
And gave people, I think, a little extra money as well.
What we did was then we took all those chip counts and we brought everybody online. To play with those exact stacks that they had.
Right. Yeah.
And we ran
a free roll for them?
Well, we ran a free roll, and the last 9 players were brought to the next event and played the event live.
Oh, cool.
So,
that
was and we gave away
as happy an ending as
like 100,000 or something.
Get out of it. I mean, obviously, it's a terrible situation, but
So they never asked for money? They didn't?
I think they went too far. And they realized that you can't like kill the
there's no tournament left.
Yeah, I mean they've already it's like you kidnap someone and then you kill them and you're like, hey, can you pay? It's like, sorry, it's too late now.
So then you go back though because you have these official pieces of paper. Do you go back the next week and say what or do you just
no?
write it off?
I mean our lawyers got involved and
the
whole problem was that. Okay, so, but then things start to get fun, and all the players are really upset.
Yeah,
they're like super upset.
And the ones that bust out.
Yeah, the ones that bust out, the ones who are in it, the chip leaders. Yeah. I mean, there's no happy players. No, I mean, I guess the guy with like the super short stack,
he's going to get something.
Yeah, he's going to get his money back and then some, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, most people are like really upset.
Did PokerStars end up, or the LAPT ever end up going back to Mexico afterwards?
Sort of. We actually don't go back and we go back and do an event in Mexico City with with those tables, the electronic tables.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's right.
Poker tech.
Yeah, poker tech. Because we're legally not allowed to have
deal cards
dealers.
and chips.
Yeah,
Is that the deal?
Oh.
Okay.
So we do run that event and it's super smooth. But it's not really an LAPT event. It's more like a sponsored event. But back to the LAPT there, all the players like basically want to riot and kill all the staff.
The guards.
Yeah,
the staff.
No, the staff. They don't care about the guards. They don't. Those guys got machine guns. So no, they don't want to kill the staff, but they're really upset. But it gets blown out of proportion and it gets reported back to Isle of Man or whatever, and they decide they're gonna, for the protection of the staff, they're gonna move them all off property to another hotel. And to me, I found that was like a really weird, maneuver. So I decided to stay. So
at the
hotel.
Yeah.
So what happened was I stayed with my wife and Mike Ward and Greg Pappas. We decided, no, we're not leaving. We're part of the tournament. We're going to talk to the players and just sort it out with them. And they were all my friends because I had played with a lot of these players before I was doing this event. Before I got involved with the LAPT itself. So I knew a lot of them personally, and I felt like I could, explain it to them.
Yeah.
And so we ended up staying and just kind of hanging out and partying with the players, and in the end, they kind of understood. I think the players that were the most mad, oddly enough, were players who came to play the second chance. they came to play there was like $1,100 second chance that
they
were
flew
like,
in and they want their airfare back.
Exactly, and they were like, well, why don't you just run it?
Hello, look at the guy with the gun.
I'm like, we have no room. We have no chips.
We'll run it in your hotel room. How do you feel about that?
So they were like, oh, give us our money back. And, but it ended up being the best time I ever had in Mexico because I didn't have to work. My ticket was already booked. I had
you got like a week off.
Yeah, we went into town and
didn't even end up in jail.
No, I'm surprised I didn't because we went into town and we ended up meeting, I don't know, just like American guy who was connected in some kind of mafia thing.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we went to this club and we were partying in the front, and he had a VIP section. So he said, "Oh, come, join us in our VIP." He wanted to have us join his VIP club crew in the back. And we were like, "No, it's okay. We're all good. We're gonna stay up here." So he moved the VIP to the area where we were, and they roped off all the area in the front of the bar where we were because he wanted to, I don't know, VIP us.
Yeah.
And it was a very strange situation.
Uncomfortable.
Because gunplay and so forth. But, here's the gun story. No,
yeah, that's right. So now we got a shootout happening.
Yeah, but it was so it ended up being the best time I've ever had.
I can imagine you have a bunch of great stories from working the Americas, so to speak. There's got to be some fantastic. You could probably even write a book.
It's a weird place because every country's different and
different laws,
different things you can do.
What's your favorite stop? So you've basically traveled throughout all of Latin America. What's your
probably
favorite?
Even ones that there aren't stops, looking to make a stop. On
Exactly. So what's your favorite? Well, I guess your favorite event. I'm guessing probably not that one, and then your favorite city, or if they're the same.
They're all different. That Mexico event is really memorable because, like I said, I didn't work. I worked, but I had to figure out how to get all this money home and all this other stuff. But there was no real 10-day working thing. So
all right.
It was I think a real eye opener to how we needed to figure out how to do business properly in Latin America.
Yeah.
So I think that, but the places that I really enjoy. We used to do we had events in Argentina, but then you went to the last one.
I went to Rosario, but basically the government rake, the players decided this is not, I can't remember exactly the nature of the rake, but they were taking 20% off.
Yeah,
the top
what happened was
the
day we showed up to start collecting, they said, well, you're going to have to collect 20% rake from any foreigner.
What?
Yeah, so basically they take 20% from every foreigner.
They told you that the day of?
The day of the buy, that we're collecting the
and you go, well, wait a second, we've been advertising this for months, so you can't just come in the day of
so we told the players you could opt out, even if you went online, would give you cash. You could anybody could opt out of playing,
right?
Obviously, because
but obviously people have come, they're there to play poker,
and we took care of airfares for some people and hotels and stuff because it was a real it was really sudden. It was really sudden. It was maybe an hour before we were going to open registration. That they said, no, you guys are going to have to collect it. Because there is a law in Argentina regarding gaming for gaming tables. So if you win in blackjack, you're supposed to pay 20%. But that's only for foreigners, not for locals.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
That seems like a pretty tough rake.
Yeah,
got a blackjack
in blackjack. It's not. In blackjack, I don't think it really matters because no one wins.
Right. Well, or at least
effectively,
you're not
there's no
to
rake.
win. But obviously there hasn't been an LAPT Argentina since then because they haven't backed off of that particular rule.
Yeah.
So
there's
and it's just not feasible. It's very hard. It's pretty hard to run an international poker tournament without any foreigners.
Oddly enough, that's not entirely true because we return to Brazil all the time, and it's 27.5.
Really?
Well, no. The odd thing in Brazil is it's 15% for foreigners and 27.5% for locals.
Wow. And people play this.
Well, we have 90% locals.
Yeah.
Wow. Ready to pay the 27%?
Yeah, they pay 27.5% locally.
Jesus.
Is
that on top of PokerStars rake as well?
It's on your winnings.
Oh, sorry, it's on your winnings. I thought you meant it was an
entry
winnings.
Yeah, it's on your winnings.
Wow. Yeah, it's great. Oh, on the spot, similar to when Canadians go to Las Vegas.
Exactly.
We get a 30% hit
withholding. Wow.
Withholding tax.
But I don't think you can reclaim that or anything.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if they can at all.
No. And but my favorite stop is my favorite city is Viña del Mar in Chile.
Yeah.
I really like it there. It's a really mellow place. You have to. If you have a chance, you should go. It's really far.
That's coming up, isn't it? For this season,
yeah, it's
right?
coming up. I would plug it, but I don't know the dates.
Not anymore. You don't need to know those anymore.
I know it's coming up next month.
6 to 10, March 6th to 10th is Viña del Mar coming up. So
we of course went down to Uruguay for the grand final 2 years.
You
ago?
did. I have never been to Uruguay.
Yeah. Was it 2 years ago?
Yep, 2 years ago.
2 years ago we were down there. That was a lot of fun. Yeah,
2 years ago,
that was. A great spot for a tournament. And you skipped a year there, and I think they're back.
Yep. Yeah, we skipped last year because we realized we couldn't fade the government's employees anymore.
Oh, I see.
So
They weren't great.
this theme I'm getting is I don't know what it is exactly.
Sounds
Yeah,
like a fun
no,
place.
it just
Sounds
got
consistent.
complicated for the casino because the casino was private, but the employees were government employees.
Gotcha.
It got too complicated for everybody, and we decided it was probably better if we just.
They must have somehow figured it out or something. I guess they're heading back there.
Did you ever wish you worked for the EPT instead?
I mean, I don't think so because I mean, if there's stories from the APT as well.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously there's like Berlin stuff.
Sure.
But there are other stories. The Russian stories are the best. If you ever get a chance to ask
imagine.
Jeffrey about those, I'm sure he'll be happy to share.
Yes.
Or not share.
Yes. Well, thanks so much for coming in, and feel free to chime in. We're going to get to a bunch of topics. It's great to have you in studio.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the stuff to get out of the way before we get into the poker stuff.
We have stuff to get out of the way before.
Let's get a
the
couple
poker stuff.
things out of the
that
way.
Was poker stuff.
What are that was?
Yeah.
I mean, now this is the
Okay.
non-poker stuff.
Oh, okay.
The UFC, of course, you're a big fan. You do some work with DraftKings. Had an interesting week. There was, and I know you like to gamble a bit here and there when you see a good line. I noticed the night of, and I could be wrong, but it looked to me like underdogs went 10 for 10, and I did the calculations, or a friend of mine did. $100 parlay would have won you $33.4 million or $34 million. Some huge, ridiculous amount of money if you parlayed every dog.
Which is actually like a thing that people do, and they do it for like $1, and they think that that's going to be like a fun thing. Whatever every game on the NBA schedule or whatever, you just take every dog. But I don't know anybody who actually does it or did it. I don't. But I did.
It was $32 million, by the way.
Okay, $32 million. I know that Bovada did a story that they got torched on it. But yeah, every single dog won. Some of them were small dogs. Some of them were, the plus 150, plus 200 dogs. But guys who were like 8-1 favorites, like Yuri Alcantara, who fights at 135 pounds and is, a dominant guy, just looked really just off. Got outworked by an unknown American wrestler named Frankie Sands. And just a weird night on that. My predictions for DraftKings, you mentioned, I do a kind of weekly preview, just a little content for them. Looked terrible. I mean, I think, I might have picked like one dog in that group. So, yeah, that was a rough one. But this weekend, the most well-known female fighter in the world, Ronda Rousey's fighting this weekend. She's a minus 900, minus 1,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
Is that crazy? That's too much?
No, I don't think it is, because I mean, she is just really that good. It's. I was telling Thomas earlier, who's not as much of a fan. It's reminiscent of actually the Mike Tyson days. Back when he would be just a 30-1 favorite over people, 41 favorite, and just finish everybody in the first round. Ronda's got kind of that. She seems to be so much far ahead of her contemporaries that, I'm looking at it on Pinnacle. She's minus 853 right now, and she just she's had one opponent make it out of the first round. She is just an absolute phenom, and everybody's on a different level. So
the interesting thing about that to me, when you talk about Tyson versus her, boxing versus MMA, is, and this is just somebody who doesn't watch really either anymore. The first thing I would think of is in boxing, it's much more difficult. Like, think back to Tyson versus Pete McNeely, somebody like that, where Pete just literally there was no outs for him to knock out Tyson at that point in Tyson's career.
Seems like it, yeah.
But in MMA, do you have a situation where you just fluke get a tap out? In the face! you can just somehow or another she comes upon a chokehold that she.
Yeah,
is there more room for fluke?
I feel like there's more likelihood of a likely punch landing than a submission, because because submissions are kind of slower. They tend to come. I mean, some guys have really dynamic submissions, but I think the ground game is a little lower variance than actually the striking game. I mean, if anybody connects with a shin to the face perfectly, that person's going to sleep. It's just the best guys don't get hit very often with a shin to the face. So I think
hit him in the face.
Thank you, Ross, or MJ. But I don't feel like. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, I think what does increase variance with MMA is they wear much smaller gloves, tend to wear 4-ounce gloves.
It hurts more.
Yeah, professional boxers wear 8 to 10-ounce gloves, and you're getting hit by more fist relative to the glove, which I think is that, and then obviously knees, elbows, other stuff too. So I think maybe MMA has a little bit more variance in that regard, and then especially in boxing, once you get to the lower weight classes where the guys' defenses are really good, if you take a lot of middleweight and welterweight fighters, those guys are the really huge favorite. You see like minus 2,600 and minus 3,000. Gennady Golovkin was like minus 2,900 last weekend, and but would you? I know how often would you lay minus 3,000 on somebody in a fight?
Never. Why would you? Yeah.
Right, but because we mentioned Mike Tyson. I mean, famously
lost to Buster Douglas.
Famously, 39 to 1 favorite against Buster Douglas. Geez.
Later in his career, that was a different Tyson than early when.
Sure, he went to jail. He went through a bad divorce. Had wrong people around him. Right.
It happens to everybody.
Yeah,
exactly. Happens to everybody.
Everybody
go to
gets
jail. Everybody. But just to clarify the parlay, of course, a lot of places don't take 10-team parlays with dogs and stuff.
They will
you're gonna have a hard
exposure.
time. Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time getting that one down. But certainly, if you would have bet the dog straight up, you would have had a pretty nice day. We talked a little bit about the Power 20, the Bluff Power 20 that is out right now. I put up a thread.
The ballot, the votings are up.
The ballot, the voting has concluded. And thanks to everybody who came into the thread and gave me their opinion. I definitely used it. I wanted to get your opinion on my ballot.
Okay.
And Thomas as well. So this is the Power 20 can be, I don't know if you're familiar with this at all, Thomas, but it can be now, it's changed. It can be negative as well as positive. So it used to be, not a. It was just all positive.
You're okay. It's okay to be bad for poker.
It's okay to be bad.
I think the Wicked Chops. They used to do whoever made the November 9. There was the good for poker, the bad for poker, and the meh for poker.
I missed that site.
Yeah,
that was good. Number 1, Sheldon Adelson. I just put him up there just because of the damage that he can do. I can imagine he's going to be pretty high on all lists. I'll go through the first few. I think are probably on every list. David Bazoff,
of
course. CEO of Amaya. Michael Hazel is the CEO of Stars. Biggest site in the world by far, and so you have to have the operating guy in there, or executive officer, I guess. Adam Pliska, the president of WPT, was my number 4 guy. Number 5, Edgar Stapleton.
Are you putting these in order, by the way?
Yes.
You have actually ranked them as
I have ranked
your
them
list.
in order,
okay.
yeah.
Right,
and it's so random how you pick one.
Of course.
So I just I didn't, to be honest, I didn't put a ton of thought into, 12 versus 11 or anything like that. Edgar Stuckley, the president of EPT. Stuckley, I believe. Yeah. Obviously one of the largest tours going, as well as the WPT. Ty Stewart, World Series of Poker Executive Director. Mitch Garber, I had number 7, CEO of Caesars Interactive. John Pappas, PPA. And, I just think right now it's pretty, a lot of people I think would probably say that's pretty high to have the PPA guy there. But I think we're in sort of this time when the PPA is an important organization. And hopefully, we can have a lot of good things come from John's involvement. First player, 9, Daniel Negreanu. I don't think there's a lot of discussion about who would be the most powerful player now. I think
it's so clearly
easy, Daniel.
It has been for a while. Yeah.
Matt Savage, I have as number 10. Mason Malmuth, owner of 2+2 at 11. Jason Chavez. He's the Republican congressman from Utah, bringing in the Restore the Wire Act bill right now in cahoots with Mr. Adelson, number 12. 13, I have Lance Bradley, the editor-in-chief of Bluff Magazine. They're changed their format. Of course, they're no longer doing the magazine. They're strictly online, but they have a big reach. I think media guys have a lot of influence on what happens in the poker world. Chris Grove, more in that vein as well, who's, of course, been on our show lots. He's wired right into everything that's going on with legislation. He's also doing some fantasy sports. He has a fantasy sports site as well. Norbert Teufelberger. I can never know how to pronounce that guy's name. He's the CEO of BWin Party. who don't seem to care a lot about poker much anymore, but still there. Chris Christie, 16, Jason Somerville, 17.
Your next player on the list.
Second player. Yeah. Alex Dreyfus of the GPI at 18, 19, Jack Ethel, and number 20 is Mark Maccaro, who is the head of the Pachanga band in California right now, who is in the bad actors. They want the bad actor side. So I just kind of think at this snapshot in time that they sort of wield some power, whether poker gets involved in California or not. No. I mean, it's
I like your list. I mean, I'm glad you finished up with somebody who's going to be influential in California, because I think for the year that comes, kind of all eyes are going to be on California, no question about it. I don't know who's going to end up being the most dominant or influential person in that whole discussion. But I'm glad you had somebody there. The addition there of Jason Somerville, obviously he's on everybody's radar because he's sort of being the guy to revolutionize poker content from a player perspective. So it's interesting because even though he doesn't necessarily have, we call it the power 20. So you think, when we think of power, we think of political power or the ability to control corporations. He obviously doesn't have that, but what he's done is he's tremendously influencing people through the creation of his brand. So that I like to see that on the list. Mason is a guy that not a lot of people think of, but obviously 2+2 is one of the biggest forums in the world, by far the biggest poker forum in the world. So that's an interesting one too. And
some people say poker strategies, and I really don't know the answer to that.
That's a really great one too, because we obviously have a North American centric and an English centric base, and that's not the demo that poker strategy necessarily hits. But that's a really good one, and I didn't think of it, and I certainly wouldn't have any guess on where to slot it in. I would just be throwing darts, but
that one I wasn't sure about. So
but it is certainly very interesting because they've had a tremendous impact, obviously, on the European scene.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll get that out of the way. Today on the show,
thanks for voting. Thanks for adding your commentary to the thread. That was cool to see that people had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, that definitely was.
Somebody wanted to throw Dan Bilzerian in there too.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I'm just thinking Dan really doesn't talk much about poker. It's not really about poker with Dan. So.
Well, and I always thought, what's his power to influence anything? He's a really powerful person. If you wanted to get into parties with orgies and stuff like that, do
who doesn't?
Cocaine
I mean,
off
let's
a stripper's
face it.
butt or something. But in terms of actually influencing something that happens in the poker, I guess because he's part of the high stakes games, maybe. Yeah. And I'm sure he has. If you're trying to get into a 20,000, 40,000 game with the people who have way too much money thrown while snorting cocaine off of a stripper, then he's probably your guy. Don't know how much that affects the rest of us in the poker world.
No, exactly. Today on the show we have a bit of a Poker Road reunion show.
Yeah, quite the lineup. Our
guests this week are Joe Stapleton, or one of our guests is Joe Stapleton, known as Stapes, of course, the lead presenter on the EPT. All of Poker Star stuff, really, EPT and otherwise. A lot of fun. Stapes is great. Everybody loves him. He's over in Europe, so we're recording earlier this week so we can get a chance to bring in some European guests.
Because he wouldn't know what it's like to work late on a poker content show.
No, he's always on time, that guy. Yeah. So Stapes is going to join us, as well as Ali Nejad, which if you think back to Poker Road Radio and Poker on TV, really in the the late aughts, I guess you call them. What you think about Ali Nejad, because he was involved with Poker After Dark, of course, Poker Road Radio. He was the lead host a lot of the shows. He even did the NBC Heads Up a couple of years, I believe, as well. So Ali and he's got some new projects. He's been away from poker and doing other stuff. I think that was sort of the launching pad for Ali, and I think. If those of us who are watching a lot of that content that he produced kind of knew at the time that Ali was destined for bigger things than doing Poker After Dark. The guy's amazingly talented, and so he's moved on. He did a show called Road Trip on ESPN with college football that was a big success, and he's got a new show that we'll talk to him about that debuted last night on the HLN, the Headline News Network. So we'll talk to Ali as well. So let's get into some In Case You Missed It.
Now, it's time for In Case You Missed It.
How did he miss the open goal? it! He's missed it! How on earth did he miss that?
Speaking of missing things,
You know what I want? I want how on earth has he missed that as my ringtone? That's what that would be a great ringtone.
Your answering machine.
Yeah, exactly. In case you missed it this week, the first story, the Bitcoin-only poker site Seals with Clubs shuts down, and the marketing director, the chairman, he called himself, Brian Micon, his house was raided by the Nevada Gaming Commission, guns blazing. They came in and raided him and knocked his door, kicked his door down, and did the full guns out raid on the guy.
showing off how tough they are with their big guns, basically.
Yeah, which I was surprised that the Nevada Gaming Commission carried guns. I don't know if they called the SWAT team in to help. Whatever happened, who knows? Micon really hasn't gone into too much detail. He released a video of him. He's fled to Antigua. People are saying Antigua. Is it Antigua or Antigua?
I've always thought it was Antigua. I have friends who live there. I could ask.
Likewise.
them, but,
I think it's Antigua. Anyway,
I think it's Antigua.
So his house was raided, guns drawn. He was put in handcuffs in front of his wife and kid, marched out, and he had all of his computer equipment and everything seized. So clearly they were coming in to gather evidence to build some sort of case against him for running a for-money gaming site in Nevada while being in Nevada. Well, in Nevada, and obviously that's illegal. And I mean, is it obvious? I guess.
This is a question. Obviously, the server's outside, but of course, he's actually physically doing the work.
Or this whole question about Bitcoin being money. Remember, Seals of Clubs only takes Bitcoin,
Yes.
and I think there's some sort of argument that might be put forward that Bitcoin is not U.S. dollars or whatever.
Right.
Obviously, it's an instrument that could be turned into U.S. dollars, so I don't know exactly how that's going to go. Anyway, so they come in, they release him, and they let him go. And he gets together, I guess, with the other people that own the site, and the other people decide that, we're not going to do this anymore. This is enough. And this is a decent-sized site.
Right.
Seals of Clubs has similar traffic to WSOP.com. I mean, they weren't this 10 people playing. There was hundreds of people at the site playing on the software. So the other people decide that. Look, I'm not interested anymore. If this is sort of the reaction that we're going to get, I don't know how they were shocked by this. They were running a for-money site while living in Nevada or even in the U.S. This has proven to be a bad idea in the past. You can ask several people this. But anyways, they decided they're going to discontinue. Micon said, "You know what? I'm going to continue. I'm going to move down to Antigua, flee the country with my family." And set up shop down there and start a new site.
Become a little mini Calvin Eyre.
Yeah, almost. Which, I mean, that's a personal decision that he made. That he's doing this with his family, and he's decided that it's worth it for him to. I guess. I mean, he could never come back, right? I mean,
that basically sounds
that's
like
the deal,
yeah.
right? I mean, if he comes
without
back,
paying a very large fine, I would imagine at the very minimum. But yeah. That's what he's decided to do. I'm surprised. I mean, how do you even leave the country under circumstances? Like, when you leave at the airport, don't they...
Well, because he wasn't charged.
Yeah, I suppose.
They were still in the evidence gathering.
Yeah.
I think he said that he was already
he may try to continue to fight it. He hasn't released any statement beyond the YouTube video, which, as far as I know, but which you should definitely watch. But maybe he's going to, pull some legal resources while he's out in Antigua and see, maybe we can find a way to fight this and... go on, because he's definitely committed to reopening Seals with Clubs and
in another name. I think it's SWC Poker.
Right. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah. He's going to do SWC, but basically going to relaunch. He's committed to Bitcoin poker. I know a lot of people who are really big believers that Bitcoin's the future of poker. We've talked about it on the show in the past. How Bitcoin may be the future of poker. PokerStars
is close to
exactly.
taking Bitcoin.
So, so Micon, I guess, making a personal decision along with his, hopefully his wife, talking about that decision through, and wants to continue. I mean, it's you got to admire the moxie, if nothing else, right? Whether it's a decision that you would make for yourself personally, it's ballsy decision from a guy like Micon.
I mean, he's an anti-government guy to begin with.
Right?
If you follow any of his Twitter feeds or anything, or his social media, he's talking about that a lot. So it sounds like it was kind of an easy. He was ready to go anyway. Almost, He talks about gun stifling creativity and all this kind of stuff.
For sure.
Which I don't live there, so I don't really know, but he seems to think it's worth it to leave the country and presumably never come back. I'm surprised. That's a tough decision. I don't know if I'm by myself, even then it's a tough decision. You got family, you got roots, etc. But when you have a wife and kid, I wonder how hard of it. I mean, that's got to be a really big. You're a single guy. Well, you have a girlfriend, but you don't have kids.
Right.
You travel around the world. Is there some price? Is there some price that for you where you would say, okay, I'm going to move to Antigua? I mean, you also have to understand for Micon, there's a very small number of places he can go.
Non-extradition places.
If he's wanted by the U.S. government at some point, there's not a ton of places he can go. I mean, so if you put yourself in his shoes, is there what?
Right. So the number, I mean, you're saying is basically
there's got to be a number.
What's the number? So there's two. I guess there's two questions here. What's the number to never set foot back in the United States, and what's the number to never set foot in any country that has an extradition treaty with the United States? And those are two very different questions, as you point out. So I mean, there's a lot of variance in that. So, but like you say, you don't know. He might have already had one foot out the door to begin with.
It's true.
If you're a very exceptionally libertarian-minded person, you definitely don't feel the government should be involved. The climate's
totally changed there the last
exactly.
how many years?
If you believe that this is a country where civil rights aren't being respected, that kind of thing, you already wanted to go to a place like Antigua in the first place, and then you add in the fact that you're actually going to be able to conduct your business there. Maybe it becomes an easy decision. So it's not what about how much money I would take or how much money Thomas would take or you would take. It's whether you're in that mindset to begin with.
Yeah. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I'm leaving Canada for good if it's Canada for me or whatever.
Right.
I want to point out that Seals with Clubs, if you have money on there, you can go ahead and withdraw it.
And you should withdraw it as soon as possible. That's even something that they said themselves.
Because there's a time limit.
Yeah, exactly.
They've set a time limit where they will honor. Which I don't really understand. I don't know why there's a time limit. I mean,
well, Bitcoin is very volatile. I imagine that maybe has something to do with it.
But that's the person who has it on deposit. That's their risk. I mean, I don't know why they should stop processing withdrawal. I guess at some point they have to wrap their company up and everything. I mean, maybe that's it.
Mm-hmm.
They ran a good site there. I don't think I saw many complaints.
Yeah, from
as far as the money goes, that kind of thing. The one thing I will say that kind of surprised me. When I started doing a little bit of research into the site was the software platform that they were on. This is a software platform called Poker Mavens. It's anybody can buy it. It looks like if you go to their website, it's designed for people to have to buy the software so they can play free money poker with their friends around the world. It doesn't look like it's designed for a multi-million-dollar website.
Yeah.
And you can buy the package for $499. The gold, you can buy it for cheap.
The top package.
But the gold package they call is $499. So here you have, Bitcoin, which is going to attract a Bitcoin gambling site, the biggest Bitcoin gambling site online, apparently, that is going to attract people that are quite smart,
very security conscious. People tend to get in Bitcoin very much worried about personal security, safety, privacy, all that kind of stuff.
So you would tend to think that a lot of those people are quite intelligent on how to do nefarious things online, and who knows, maybe, right? I mean, but even if those people aren't, you attract that, and here you have a piece of software where anybody can go buy it and tear it apart. And look, this is me knowing nothing about how this all works. But if you have a piece of software that you can buy and sort of crawl into that wasn't really designed for what they're using it for, it seems like, I'm a bit surprised that that platform was the one being used.
Yeah, I mean, because if you're making a software that's designed for play money, security isn't obviously the first thing on your mind, because you don't think, I'm going to play money against my buddies, I'm going to cheat and hack and try to view call cards and do all of this stuff. Now, that's not to say that the poker making software isn't secure.
Oh, I don't know if it is or not.
Exactly, and neither of us do. And
but so here's what it says. Poker Mavens is an affordable play money poker software system that allows anyone to run their own private Texas Hold'em and Omaha poker site. server module installs on any Windows PC, access simple web server, etc. No flash required. Buy now for $29. Buy the Pro for $99. Buy the Gold for $499. So, as an affordable play money poker software system.
Right now, the Gold package, the $500 package that you mentioned, does have an SSL solution on there, which would provide some security. I don't know how strong that security would be, but obviously my phone is running that. But yeah, it's obviously not going to be anything compared to what the major poker sites have to go through. I don't imagine. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But certainly interesting there. But at least as far as we know, there was never any big scandal. As you said, it was a well-run site. It was popular among its niche. Had a lot of loyal supporters, and Mycon definitely did his ground game very well.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see what happens with him rolling out the new site.
Guess we won't be seeing him at the World Series this year. The thing.
This guy loves the World Series.
Yeah.
Indeed. SWC Poker, I believe, if you want to follow and see how he does relaunch the site. In case you missed it, Katie Dozier, is she one of the Grandettes?
Yes, she is.
She's a Grandette, I thought.
Absolutely.
So. She wrote an open letter to PokerStars, and this was in response. We had Matthew Hilger on our show last week, of course, and he talked about moving the $9 million guaranteed 9th anniversary Sunday Million. They originally scheduled it for March 8th. They realized after they did that it was International Women's Day on March 8th and moved it to the following week, March 15th.
Right, and neither of us, when we talked to Matt Hilger, knew that International Women's Day was a big thing. It's not really a big. I mean, I don't know if it is in the U.S., but I don't think it's a big thing in Canada. I mean, it's one of the things that you see it on Facebook and Twitter, and you're like, oh, that's nice. It's International Women's Day. We should take a moment to think about women's rights, and we should do all that, and be nice to your loved ones and all that kind of stuff. But apparently, according to Matthew, this is like a really, really big deal over in some parts of Europe.
Yeah, and again, we wouldn't know because we're here, and it's not a big deal here. On the same level as Valentine's Day or Mother's Day.
Everybody realizes Mother's Day is a big deal here. Everybody realizes Valentine's Day
is a big deal.
Don't screw those days up with your wife. Yeah.
Yeah, but International Women's Day, I've never really kind of gone, made a big deal out of that. And I don't think my wife has.
If you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, when's International Women's Day, I would have been a 364-1 dog to get the correct day.
No, you're not picking like Christmas.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'd be
April Fool's or New Year's or your birthday.
Whoa, place is falling apart. So she writes a blog. She took the opportunity to ask PokerStars a couple of questions, and one of them was of the 45,000 plus players anticipated to play. Do you really think such a sizable fraction actively celebrate International Women's Day? And again, Katie's coming from our
She's
sort
also
of
American,
point,
yeah.
right? Doesn't the new date, which is Mother's Day throughout the United Kingdom, potentially create more conflicts? Is it fair to those that already made arrangements for this event to have to make expensive changes to their travel plans? Now, let's talk about some of those first.
Sure.
We talked about the sizable fraction actively celebrate International Women's Day.
Apparently, it's larger than we think it is, and it's hard to know. I mean, maybe some of our European listeners can sort of chime in on that, but.
For sure.
Stars does their homework on these things, I suppose. The Mother's Day thing, that's
a big deal.
That's valid. I mean, that's because the UK is a very sizable portion of the UK market. Of the overall European market. So probably a big thing, but. Yeah, but I guess the travel arrangements things is
that a bit out there. Like I understand what she's saying, but
she's
how
American,
many people...
so she's actually going to have to leave the country.
We're talking about a $200 tournament. I mean, I don't know that there's a ton of people making huge plans to travel and to play a 200. Maybe they are.
Maybe if you were going to because you're going to play the Sunday round because anybody
flying anywhere for a $200 tournament.
Oh, I think so. I mean, if you live close enough to Mexico or to Canada, maybe you're driving. You're driving and you book in a hotel room or something. I can definitely see that because you're at it's a Sunday grind and maybe you would choose to grind a different Sunday instead of this Sunday if it's 9 million. I don't think it's a large percentage. I mean, I think you're probably talking about a couple hundred people at the most, but certainly there are a lot of Americans in particular who are going to do that.
So there was an overarching. Oh, I feel like this is my machete moment right here. There is a pervasive
Why don't you just
persuasive?
use words that you're good at?
Holy shit, that's a disaster. It seemed like she was trying to say, in not so many words, that PokerStars was maybe moving this event because they were worried that it wasn't going to hit the $9 million guarantee.
That was the finale. That she was sort of implying that Stars and. In fairness to Katie, if you go and read her blog, which of course you should, never rely on a third party to summarize our blogs for you. But she made it very clear that she's a fan of PokerStars and everything they do. But she was a bit skeptical that they're trying to do a huge, gigantic guarantee that you need 45,000 players for, and buying an extra week for it is maybe a move to and quote unquote blaming it on International Women's Day was the cynical part of her suggests that they're moving it forward to try to get closer to this guarantee.
But is that so wrong? I mean, Thomas, what do you think?
Well,
Is it like bad of PokerStars to try? I understand that they announced and then they changed after, but I don't think it was very long. And I think we all want this tournament to go off as a success.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it's just if that is the case, which we don't know that.
We don't know.
Is,
we're speculating.
Then it's just a business decision. Then.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah.
They picked the wrong date, and now they want to correct it.
Yeah.
I think they have the right to do that.
But wouldn't we give if another site, not PokerStars, wouldn't we give them a hard time if they there's definitely been cases where guarantees were going to be missed, and then there was an unexpected delay or something like that. I feel as though
I feel like that's different though. If you're saying, extra registration or something like that, where it's clearly, post, they can clearly see now they're not going to make this guarantee. I mean, I'd like to know actually how long after they announced March 8th that they changed to March 5th. I really don't know the answer to that.
I really think it was like about a week only.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was that. I think what happened was once they announced it, they got a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Saying, well,
wait a second.
We don't, or probably from the marketing teams on each, on the Eastern European countries saying, well,
yeah, they're going to get flooded with emails.
We're going to have problems
as soon as they're going to get flooded with emails as soon as this is announced.
Well, they're not, and probably some of the tournament team came to them and said, look, we're not going to hit this guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Terrence, you raise a good point. Would we go crazy on Party Poker if that happened at Party Poker, changing the dates? I don't know the answer. It's a good question.
We definitely always tend to give Stars the benefit of the doubt because they haven't done shady things in the past, and so there's no reason to believe that they will do them going forward. But obviously, Katie's blog post struck a chord. I've been seeing this in a lot of different places. 2+2 on the NVG forum and a lot of other places, and it's also accompanied by some other stuff that she mentioned in there. Trying to get women into poker and stuff like that. But this is something that's definitely struck a chord, and we're gonna have Lee Jones on a little bit later, and we're gonna have the man on, and it's good to talk to Lee and see what he makes of this little tempest.
Well, she talked about some other issues with the women's stuff at Stars, where they had a women's event every Sunday. They used to have a blog
that hasn't been updated in a while, according to her.
In her opinion, and maybe she's right, it seems like they're spending less time and money on this initiative of bringing women to poker, to online poker.
She, also a bit of a slightly subtle shot at some of the female Stars pros that are been hired, saying that they tend not to play these events, and maybe they could be better ambassadors than they actually are. So a little bit of a jab there, a subtle jab.
It's fair.
In case you missed it.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, the whole women's event at the World Series of Poker or in any live venue that you have. We always talk about the fact, women are intimidated by coming and playing poker with a whole bunch of men who are misogynists or whatever. They get comments negative towards them, and they don't want to. That's not their first experience. They want to be comfortable within the MTT sort of environment before they jump into a big open event, and this is a great way to get them in the door. Is that the same in online poker? I mean, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of that, stuff going on because you got chat moderators, etc.
Right. How excited are you to play in a ladies' event if you're not somebody who normally plays poker tournaments, if you already play online poker?
Yeah. And what do you have to check a box or something if you're to say I'm a woman?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of securities. I mean, I imagine that there is some sort of check, especially when you're talking about live satellites. That would be the easier way to sort of confirm. If you've just registered an account as a female or under a female name, and then you win a live satellite, that's obviously not going to go so well for you when you show up to play.
Yeah,
I wonder if they would catch you because the person who's registering you live probably isn't checking your gender.
No,
you're a live events guy. You never did any medical examination.
I've done a couple of checks, but
have you run women's events on the LAPT?
We have.
Oh, you did. Did you have any issues with people complaining
No. Because the laws are different everywhere, and I just don't let people sign up if they're men.
Oh, you just said...
I just personally tell them.
You were just able to do that. Yeah, obviously, we talked about this on the show 2 weeks ago. There was an event in Deauville where it was not allowed.
22 or something?
Yeah, 22 men signed up because, French law doesn't allow you to do that. But the events that you run, obviously, you were just able to sort of say, nope.
Eat it.
Yeah, I mean, there may have been laws that said that I couldn't do that, but
you didn't care.
I am the
nice.
law. I overrode the law in that country.
Did people try?
Yeah, people did come up and say, hey, can I play? And
No.
I don't answer them. I just give them I shoo them away.
Yeah, beat it.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a long first segment. Let's go to break. After the break, do we have a Crush Live Poker strategy minute this week, Roscoe?
Yeah, we do. It's on value betting thinly on scary rivers.
Value betting thinly on scary rivers by Bart Hansen at crushlivepoker.com. Check out this poker strategy minute brought to you by the fine folks over there, and we will be right back for more of the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
Hey everyone, welcome to another 2+2 Strategy Minute brought to you by crushlivepoker.com. I'm Bart Hansen, and today I want to talk about betting thin on very, very scary boards, especially at the lower levels of live no limit. You can bet extremely thin when the board comes out scary, especially in position. And the major reason why you can do that is because the rest of your player pool, usually at like a 1-2, 2-5, and even up to 5-10 game, they haven't seen anybody bet so thin on a scary board. So if you open a hand like kings, queens, aces, and a person calls you heads up, and you bet a board like 7, 8, 9, and the guy calls you, and then the turns say a deuce or a 3, and he calls you again, and now the river is a 5 or a jack, and it brings a one-liner to a straight. If he checks to you and you bet again, he hasn't seen anybody in the player pool bet one pair, so he's actually more likely to look you up. That recreational player might not necessarily know what the word polarizing means, which of course we know means that you're either bluffing or you're betting a big hand, but he knows that he hasn't seen anybody else do it. So subconsciously, he's more likely to call because he thinks that you're either very strong or you're bluffing. Now let's get back to the Pokercast.
Folks, don't forget to stay connected with the Pokercast gang between shows. There's a dedicated forum on 2plus2.com where you can discuss the most recent show, request a guest, suggest topics, or just chat about bacon and titties. The Pokercast forum on 2+2. Picks or get the F out. Hey, poker fans, don't forget about the 2plus2.com digital magazine. Each month, a wide array of poker professionals and media write fascinating articles about the game you love. Want to learn about big blind versus small blind hand ranges? How about optimal Jeopardy daily double strategy? Topics like those and many others are covered every month. Head on over to 2plus2.com to see what the magazine has to offer this month.
At the 8-handed table, UTG min raises to 8K with 32 big blind effective. Cutoff calls with 70 big blinds, and I call with 10-9 of spades on the button with a stack of 400K. Both blinds fold. Flop comes Jack 8-6 rainbow with 1 spade. UTG bets 14K, cutoff calls, and I overcall. The turn is the ace of spade, giving me a flush draw. UTG keeps on betting, 32K this time. Cutoff calls again, and I raise to 90K. After tanking for a few minutes, UTG lets it go. Cutoff takes even longer before folding too.
Team Pro Online's Marc-Andre French Dog Ladouceur is a Supernova Elite VIP. This is the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Hey guys, this is Bart Hansen for CrushLivePoker.com. Whether you're a recreational player who wants to compete at the tables, or you're a professional and you want to increase your win rate, the material that I've produced at CrushLivePoker.com will make you a better poker player. Act now and you can subscribe for free by using the coupon code TPC11. That's TPC for the Pokercast 11 and get your first month free.
Compton, California. She go to work, she go to school. Her body smooth, no tattoos. Type of girl that make your mother feel comfortable. My pop's love her too, she's compatible. She's independent, she handle her business. She believe in God and no other religion. Never hit competition when it comes to her friends. She's dependable, she set her own trends. A confidant, a mediator. So sweet, every flavor. Just a conversation with her doing you a favor. Look at her hips, I wanna be a pager. Conservative, affirmative. Action when she
Welcome
relaxes.
everybody back to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. One more piece of in case you missed it. Ali Nejad has his own TV show. Again, as another TV show debuting this week. He is got a show on the HLN network, and it's called The Social Life. The man has almost 1 million Twitter followers. He travels around the U.S. interacting with people that he meets on social media. I saw the trailer. The idea is fantastic. And
he gets free shit out of everything.
Oh,
That's
the guy's
amazing.
he's amazing. I don't know yet. But he joins us now, Ali. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thanks, guys. Been a while, right? I'm crawling out from under the rock I've been hiding.
I'm amazed you're still alive with the shit that you've been through since you left Poker Road.
Oh, man. I mean, between, like, the Black Friday stuff that we all had to weather and the fact that put a serious crimp into opportunities for television poker commentary and let alone just playing online and supplementing our incomes. I mean, it was a death blow that we somehow managed to pull the old cockroach in the microwave routine on.
No question. Let's talk a bit about the show, The Social Life. I mentioned the concept. First of all, how do you get 1 million Twitter followers? I know Seabach knew like the owners of Twitter or something. How did you do it?
So, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I was hosting Poker Road and Seabach made Gavin and I do it, like it was so begrudgingly the day that we created our accounts that we did so, it was ridiculous. Me and Gavin were like, fine, Joe, we'll make the stupid Twiffer or whatever it is. Like, you know, who would have known that it would have turned into what it's become right now? And thank goodness that we did, because it's been this amazing vehicle, not just for like people who are playing tournaments actively to keep their chip counts going and whatnot and keep people up to date and gain a fan base and leverage that into sponsorship opportunities or notoriety, but also just to connect with pretty much anyone, which is, you know, essentially what I've been able to do thanks to that early adoption and getting onto the suggested users list as a result, because there were so few people on the platform at that time who had any sort of notoriety in any arena, because it was such a fledgling company at the time that we signed up. And then also becoming a verified account, right? It's like a little blue merit badge.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden the numbers started skyrocketing. And my guess is because back then when Twitter first started, you could go to the suggested users list, and it was like the first thing that you did when you signed up your account. You could click one radio button and add all these people: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Ali Nejad, Wolf Blitzer. I mean, it was like what was I doing on that list? I have no idea. But you could sort of see that the number of new users to Twitter and the number of new followers I was getting was kind of a +1 correlation there. And you know, it slowed down. The inferno was tamed at some point, and there was some attrition once they started scanning for bots and all that good stuff. But you know, short story long, I'm glad that we did what we did, and it's been an incredible vehicle, which, you know, sort of spawned the whole social life concept at some point.
Okay, so tell us how this thing went. Have you done all the shows already? Are they all in the can, so to speak?
Yeah, so we got a 4-episode run for you know, I don't want to call it the full first season, because if we get picked up, then that'll be a continuation of the first season. Sure. But we've shot all 4 of them. It was a complete whirlwind, like 2.5-3 week process. And I actually hooked up with the team that produced Poker After Dark and currently does the World Series stuff, Echo Entertainment in Los Angeles, because as we all know, man, working in industries, it pays to have relationships. And rather than go and take my concept and shop it around to people who might tell me they're not interested and then go and do it themselves with a little spin on it, or tell me they're interested but then say they really need a Mario Lopez to be attached or something like that, my dimples aren't deep enough, I don't know. I could go straight to these guys who knew that even without the sort of name recognition that you generally need to get the funding to get a pilot or a sizzle put together, that I could carry the show and that I had a sense of humor. And it was because we'd worked together, and the off-screen interaction was what led them to understand that. So I was actually out in Florida for a couple of WPT deals when I was doing some of that audience warm-up work for the tour. And that was kind of a favor to Adam Pliska, who's a fantastic and very close friend of mine, so that I could get into that sandbox and start to find opportunities to work with them as one of the prominent outlets. And it was between the Jacksonville stop and the Seminole Hard Rock stop that I was going to fly all the way back to L.A. for 4 or 5 days and then come right back essentially to the same neck of the woods. And I said, why would I do that when I can do what I've been doing, which is, use Twitter to ping all of these different, entities, businesses, whoever it is, see who's interested in doing a little bit of a trade out where, I'll take some pictures, mention you on Twitter, whatever it is, and you guys hook me up with whatever product or service it is that you guys have. And I was going to do it anyway, and I said, this is a great opportunity for you guys to send a camera crew down here and just watch me at work doing what I do when it comes to Twitter. And so we shot what was a much more self-indulgent and decadent incarnation of the original concept, and I called it the Tweet Life. And, it chopped around. There were people interested, and then it got shelved for a little while. Fast forward like a year, HLN emerges as a network that's going to be rebranding, and we're in a pitch meeting with them. And, they suggest that it becomes something a little bit more philanthropic, a little bit more giving, a little bit more conscientious. And, in the beginning I was like, no, that doesn't sound as much fun. But as I came to find out as we shot the show, it really, as happy as I know it's going to sound, it was super fulfilling, man, to take advantage of it, not to just hook myself up, but to take people who are really going to appreciate it and hook them up in some way, shape, or form, and meet folks, and connect with people, and not allow social media to become this divisive, envy-breeding, in a sense of inadequacy breeding machine that it can be, especially for a lot of youth,
So did you just go after people that followed or you interacted with on Twitter? Did you send out a tweet saying, hey, we want to come see you? Like, how did it work?
Yeah, so we came up with a list of cities that we had gotten with HLN to discuss as prospective destinations for the show. And then once we narrowed it down to it was Pittsburgh, Charleston, Boulder, and Seattle. We wanted to get different sensibilities, different vibes, nothing that was too beaten path, even though Seattle might be, a little bit on the beaten path for some folks, that, not every travel show had visited, and that were interesting, that maybe I hadn't been to before, preferably, and would have some characters. And so when we came up with the list, I would essentially, as soon as we got approval, just tweet out that I was going to be in that particular city and ask for suggestions on places to go, things to do, where to eat. And then the folks that were, hitting me up, I would ping them back and say, listen, how do you feel about meeting up and hanging out? And then I would, go into Twitter and just search a hashtag like Boulder, Colorado, or whatever the city is, or just search for accounts that were based in that city and find businesses and attractions and different things, and really try to stay true to everything coming through a social media research sort of platform or interaction platform, even like Instagram, So it was experimental, man. We didn't know whether or not it would work or it would be a hit or whatnot, and I think the jury's still a little bit out. But it seems like most everybody who did take a look at that first episode, which debuted on Tuesday the 24th, enjoyed it, and I got a ton of feedback, and I had a lot of friends plugging it, and I'm proud, man. This is a big moment for me, for sure.
I love it. I love the fact that you put faces to a lot of people spend a lot of time on Twitter or social media every day. You don't have any kind of real connection other than their screen name or something, and then this kind of brings this sort of person-to-person connection back to social media. I love the concept. What were some of the highlights for you?
Well, I got to say, the first episode.
We don't want to spoil everything, but give us,
Yeah. Now that the first episode has already happened, I'll bring it up because I know certainly not everybody has watched the show, and we'll continue to have reruns of episodes from now until the end of the first 4 episode run. So don't worry if you missed it. You know, I'm sure it'll be on the dial. But when I had an opportunity to take a young man who I met on the tour, a Pittsburgh tour bus. As I was just being touristy while I was out there, you know, we got to hit the ground running. Who was so clearly overqualified for what he was doing, but yet so passionate about his city and about his job, which I think that fewer and further between we encounter these days, right? People begrudgingly get up and go to work. They don't all love what they do the way you guys do when you get up and you put the podcast together, and it's a passion project, and you're not just driven by money. You're driven by the fact that you're hanging out, you're having a good time, kind of like when I was doing my Poker Road thing. I got paid more in a weekend by NBC than I did in a whole year working on Poker Road, but do you think I had complaints about that? We had a blast. We're a bunch of kids in a candy store, knuckleheads, having fun and connecting with folks. And this kid was clearly one of those people who was just a good-hearted, kind-hearted guy, and he just made this impression on me where I was like, I want to do something for this guy. So as covertly as I could, I was trying to get a sense of, like, what's your dream? What's something that you really want to do? And, I mean, he was so humble. He talked about how him and his wife are both working a couple of jobs. And his dad really gave everything for him to be able to have opportunities to the best that he could. And he wanted to repay the favor. And if you're from Pittsburgh, man, you are a diehard Steelers fan, no bones about it, right? And he and his father had never, ever been to Heinz Field to watch a Steelers game because apparently, you know, the incomes aren't so great out there for most folks, and the ticket prices are pretty expensive. So it really wasn't something he would be able to do. And if he did, it might have been like a third-deck bleeder seat, you know what I mean? And so when I reached out through, you know, this massive vehicle, which is social media, to try to find someone who might be able to make arrangements, sure enough, Nikki Noto, who coincidentally enough I had worked with on ESPNU, so it wasn't a complete stranger, but was paying attention to Twitter at the time and how, you know, it hadn't dawned on me. She's freaking married to a tight end on the team. Instantly hits me back, tells me, like, yes, absolutely, I would love to set him up. So not only do I get the guy into the stadium, but I get him sitting with the players' families on the 40-yard line. And when I tell him that I've done this for him at the end of the show, so spoiler alert if you haven't seen the first episode, he was just so moved, man. Like, it was almost as though he thought it was going to be an episode of Punk'd, and like Ashton Kutcher was going to fly out and be like, nah, actually we got you a couple of tickets to Ka over at MGM. You know what I mean? It was like, and you got to fly yourself out there. So it was really meaningful, man. Like, I realized, like, we can get snarky, right? As people in the poker industry and as people that are cut from the sort of, you know, radio, television personality cloth, you can get a little apathetic. You know, you kind of start thinking everything's BS, everything's contrived or whatever. This dude was so thankful, and I made such an impact, and I was like, holy smokes, like, this is for real.
Yeah.
And it just kind of dawned on me, and I was like, this feels great, man. You know, this feels way better than if I hooked myself up with a couple of tickets on the 40. I'll tell you that, because I've lived a great life, and you know, and I've got money and means, thankfully, to do stuff like that. And I was like, this is the momentum. This is the critical mass for me. I dove head in to the next 3 cities that we shot in with the idea that I just want to come across someone's path who is passionate and who is not even thinking about themselves. And sure enough, I ran into plenty of them along the way, man. And they were just good people who it felt great to do something for. And all in the framework of just going out to a city and hanging out and meandering around and having a good time and being a knucklehead, a little bit of comedy, you know, a little bit of improv. It was a great time, man. It was a really great experience. Regardless of what the future holds for it, I'm certainly happy that we got to do 4 episodes, if no more. Who knows? Fingers crossed.
Well, to me, Ollie, what really strikes me is your authenticity and your enthusiasm for doing this, because it's very sort of easy, and it's for to fall into the trap of, oh, I'm gonna make people's wishes come true and all this kind of thing.
Right.
And the second you start doing that is the second it stops being authentic. You can't be oh, look at me, I'm the big shot. I'm throwing alms to the masses, and people can afford things. But you're you know, you kind of said about it is, I'm gonna go places. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna meet people. If good things happen, then good things happen. Is that sort of your mindset going in?
Yeah, man, and it was all about not overly pre-producing it, right? I get it. It's a business. You need to have some predictability. You need to have some reassurances that things are vetted, things are sorted and scheduled and whatnot. But I specifically told my producers, that I was working with, that I want time every single day to see where the wind takes me, because that's the adventure, and that's the truth, right? I want to make sure, because let's face it, man, the bullshit meter is super high on anybody in the demographic that we're looking to capture, and I don't want to be associated with that. Quote-unquote reality television is about as unrealistic as anything you're going to watch on TV these days, right?
Sure.
So people have tuned out. And when, you're trying to employ Twitter in a way that's just, something more than putting a graphic up with my Twitter handle up there, having a little Sports Center ticker at the bottom that shows tweet feedback during the show, which is, I think, the extent to which most people are employing it, and do something creative like that, you don't want to half-ass it, right? And I was like, no, I want to go all in. I really want to be out there tweeting, trying to learn things, getting a suggestion, being like, hey, guys, point the van this way. We're going to this place. I'm going to meet this random person, and have these adventures. And I think that comes through, and I was thankful to have a platform to do that, man, because I remember one of my biggest frustrations when I was working in the poker community, and do a 2+2 forum search for my name, and sure enough, you'll see plenty of the feedback that supports this, was that, nobody really got a sense of who I was, and it's tough to build fans when you feel like you don't really get the guy that you're watching, and is this really him? Is this just a vanilla, overly sterilized incarnation of the guy? So when Poker Road allowed me to spread my wings and be who I was and show off a sense of my personality, that was the greatest gift that I ever got, because it helped to temper the sense like, wait, maybe, not for sure, he's not the flaming douchebag that I think he is. Now granted, I don't want to disappoint. I want a little dash of flaming douchebag in there for those who are a fan of that. But no, realistically speaking, it was just a cool chance to just be me, man. I feel like you're winning in life when you're able to get paid doing a job that you love and being yourself. And I know that that's a gift, and not, everybody feels that it's doable, but I take no credit for it. I've managed to somehow serendipitously stumble into those circumstances, and things like this are what really make me feel like I'm doing the right thing. Because if all I cared about was money, you guys, I would certainly be back playing poker, because you can do a lot better committing yourself to high-stakes poker cash games and being a shark than you can working in the television industry, believe it or not. Certainly not in the echelons of income that I've been exposed to. But it just, for me personally, it didn't have the fulfillment that I was looking for. So I had to branch out and get back into the TV industry, which is what I've been doing before I showed up doing poker commentary, which a lot of people don't know. But Tim Fioravanti, did you guys see that Bluff article he wrote?
I did not. I want to ask you about Road Trip. That show looked awesome.
Oh,
but which one are you talking about?
Was that? Well, before I ever got involved in poker, I was working from my high school years for an NBC affiliate, doing a couple of shows out in San Francisco, in the Bay Area where I grew up. And one was called First Cut, the other was called Hypertech, and that's where I learned my hosting and my producing and my reporting. And granted, I was just a tot, but it's where I got a taste for the industry. And then I dropped out of Cal along with Prahlad Friedman, and we were hitting the card circuit together. And I was stepping away from the TV industry altogether, and then came back to it after a few years. But most of my notoriety, obviously within the poker community, comes from the work I did in poker. Very few people knew that I had worked in television for a number of years prior to ever doing poker television, which is what set me up nicely, because if you got a poker player on TV, they didn't understand the TV part of it, and if you got a TV guy up there talking poker, you didn't get the poker part of it. And I sort of addressed both sides of the coin. But holy smokes, man, Road Trip, what a dream job that was.
Oh, man, I watched some of the highlight clips of that. That looks like a guy went out and said, okay, what do I want to do? And I want to televise it in the most fun I can have, and have a camera along and just show it. I mean, you travel to all these college football games or college hockey games, different college sports, partying with like cheerleaders, and look like you're doing keggers. I mean, that had to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm still trying to monitor the statute of limitations on certain unmentionable crimes in all these 50 states we travel to. I want to make sure I don't catch a case. I'm just kidding. It didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, like, it was so cool. I love college football. I mean, I eat, sleep, breathe college football. And being a Pac-10, Pac-12 guy, it's not the same as like the SEC, right?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, this allowed me to get perspective, right? I mean, it's going out and going to like an LSU or an Alabama or an Auburn or something like that and catching a game, or Ohio State, you know what I mean, and being there on the field on the field.
I saw you were getting into all the mascots' uniforms.
Oh my God, I love mascots, man. They smell like absolute dog shit in those costumes, by the way. I mean, it is raunch. Seriously. Like, there's not a prop bet that I would engage in that involves, like, licking a mascot costume as the losing end of it. I mean, it's just so heinous. But those dudes are hilarious. And yeah, messing with mascots, hanging out with, like, the cheer squads, meeting the players, hanging with the coaches, and being the same idiot knucklehead that I got to be alongside Gavin and Joe on Poker Road, but in a different framework, and getting involved in all kinds of cool activities on campuses. I mean, it kept me young, man. And we logged a lot of miles flying into a lot of podunk airports on a lot of little sardine can airplanes, and staying in more Holiday Inn Expresses than I care to count. But, it's not exactly the Aria out in College Station, Texas. But, my Red Roof Inn points are still active if you guys ever need a free room somewhere in Lubbock.
One of the highlights I saw was you playing Madden on the Dallas Cowboys Jumbotron.
Dude, that got like 1 million hits on Reddit, and everybody was saying it was bullshit. They were calling bullshit.
Oh, really?
They were saying it was Photoshopped. Yeah, people were trying to say there's no way. And that was my first ever episode. It was Alabama, Michigan at the Jimmy Johnson or Jerry Jones Dome. What is it? Texas Stadium, Dallas Stadium,
AT&T Stadium.
AT&T Stadium.
Yeah,
that's right. Which, by the way, is an amazing place. I was there for the national championship this year again because I came back to cover the playoffs, which was a blast because I was having separation anxiety after having moved on to sign this HLN contract. But yeah, man, I got to play Madden on the Jumbotron.
That's insane.
Jumbotron is like selling it short.
That's not even a Jumbotron.
That thing is, what do you even call that? Like, did they have to Sikorsky chopper that thing into the stadium? Like, it's so big.
It's like
so
5 Jumbotrons.
It is. It's a Jumbotron on roids. It's like the Barry Bonds-tron.
But I saw you were playing your co-host. I don't want to stereotype or anything, but you must have kicked her ass in Madden.
The best part was I think half of the time her controller was unplugged, but bless her heart, she had no idea. And neither did I, because I expected the same level of performance out of her, whether it was plugged in or unplugged, to be honest with you. But it was so much fun, man. Like that show is where I most often would tell people if I didn't get a paycheck in my mailbox, I wouldn't even know I was working.
I mean, how much would you have paid to do that gig?
Seriously, right? I would have paid. I had to not say that out loud in front of the crew because then they start thinking well, why are we paying this asshole? He would pay us.
I'm paying.
It doesn't put me in a good leveraging position when the contract negotiation comes up. Okay, listen. So instead of what we paid you last year, we're thinking you're going to pay us, and
okay,
here's the number.
Good. Sure, no problem.
Yeah, but a lot of people would tweet me all the time, man, and be like, "You have the greatest job on earth," and I would be like, "I'd love to lie to you and say no."
Yeah.
But in fact, I do. For anybody that loves college football, for sure.
Did you have any negative reactions with the social life? I can imagine that would be a really good show. Go around to idiots on Twitter and bum rush them.
Right? Wasn't that Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? At the end, they went to all the moviepoopshoot.com.
Yeah.
You commented this, and they knock people out at their computer screens or in their front doorway.
You know what actually happened this week was there's an MMA fighter named Josh Neer, and some guy who's been talking shit to him on Twitter just decided to show up at his gym. And it did not go well. You just see this 12-second video of Josh Neer just beating the living hell out of his Twitter heckler, which is I think what everybody who's famous on Twitter has always wanted to do since the beginning of time.
That's great
Nobody's
TV.
been dumb enough to do it to a professional fighter.
Wait, but did the tweeter go to Josh's gym, or did Josh go to the tweeter's gym?
I think the guy showed up at Josh Neer's gym. That's the amazing thing about it.
What do you think?
Why?
This
begs the question: what was he thinking?
Yeah. But was there some stuff that you're suggestions, and you're like, no, I'm good. I'm not doing that.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna take every single suggestion. Just logistically, you can't do them all. But I will say that people really didn't bother to be super snarky or to suggest that we go somewhere. Hey, man, you should go hang out behind the stratosphere. It didn't, you know what I mean? We didn't end up some ghetto crack house or anything like that. After the Garmin in the old Hertz, whatever Sentra.
But that's good TV.
I don't know what we had the budget for.
That's good TV.
What? Yeah, that actually would be, and I would definitely say, guys, let's roll on this. I'm going to shoot dice with Ashy Larry back here in the alley and see what I come up with. You know what I mean? He's not ready for me. I'm gonna pot size. I'm just gonna bum rush him with stack.
He doesn't have a clue. Well, what about the one? And I can't believe you're doing this. You dissected some little rodent.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah.
That didn't make the show because I was like, where the hell are... You know what's funny? That I should have brought that up, but it didn't make the show, so I didn't think about it. I'm like, if it hits the cutting room floor, it never happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I forget what the name of that freaking haunted house of horrors was. And it's like, I mean, just imagine the type of place where it's been hit really hard by foreclosures. Like that kind of part of a neighborhood where it just randomly, weird things start popping up. I walk in and it's just... This place made Hoarders look like The Bachelor. Like, it was gnarly inside. This guy had collected all kinds of craziness from all over the world, one of these eccentric, wealthy, I don't know if it was an inheritance situation or whatever. And at one point when we were on a little break, as they're resetting for a shoot in another room, I turned to them and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? And I go in and they like pull a frozen guinea pig out of a freezer or something, and they're like, yeah, we're going to dissect this now. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of crazy bestiality parties go down here on Fridays, man. Thank God it's a Wednesday morning at 11 because I can only imagine what happens when the sun goes down in this place. That was gnarly. That was a funky one.
That did not look good. And the guy standing there, he's got some weird military uniform on. I'm like, what is that? Like, you're going to get killed.
Yeah, it was definitely a small chance that a neo-Nazi situation was going to break out or something.
Yeah.
Like I was the guest of honor, if you know what I mean. But no, I mean I'm embellishing it. They were quirky, they were weird. I'm glad that we went and we experienced it. All kidding aside, but it certainly wasn't the kind of thing that I felt like up against the other stuff that I had done that was gonna make it into the the 20 or so minutes we've got out of 30 to make a TV show in an episode, but. Man, they kept it weird at that place. And then they kept tweeting me and being like, "Hey, man, would you mind tweeting about us?" I was like, "Yes,
I do.
Yes,
actually.
I would."
Not doing that.
No.
So you got 4 in the can. Did you get there? So it debuted yesterday, right? Did you get any ratings back? Anything like that?
Yeah, last night was the premiere, and I mean, we're realistic about. Our ratings, I'm not going to try to compare myself to Empire on Fox or whatever the latest phrase is, but for what we do at this network, it did phenomenally well, and it hit our demo really, really well. And as far as the originals content that these guys are developing, which they're slowly getting into that game, because, remember, HLN was a totally different animal before, this new crew and regime came in and decided to flip it. And so it's kind of a baby steps approach, but... for that type of programming that we're doing, it's done better than anything that we've done. I would love to pretend like I know someone that has a Nielsen box, or that I'm able to decipher the silliness that is you did a 59.4 in the 2P plus, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know. Did we do good? Like, did we do good? They're like, you did great. I'm like, that's all I need to hear, man.
Yeah, never mind with the numbers.
Is the pot getting pushed my way? All right, then. That's all I care about. Then I played the hand brilliant. How's that?
You know what you should do is tell these guys at HLN about I Bet You with Lack and Esfandiari.
Yo, so what is that on Discovery Channel?
Something happened with they couldn't get the rights released, but they tried a different format or something. But that show, of course, we're gamblers. We love that kind of thing. But I don't know who else would love it. But it's fantastic. I don't know how that show is not being made.
Wait, I bet you's the old school one that they did.
Yeah,
that came on like what was it, Mojo or something like that?
Some weird network.
Yeah, something like HD. Something like that was a great show.
Oh.
But then didn't they link up together and they were doing some concept where they went around the country and tried to weasel their way into poker games? Over the
yeah. So they just did. They only got one episode in the can for that one, and it didn't do so well. But yeah, totally different format. That one sucks. The one we love is I Bet You.
Oh, I Bet You was great, especially because you really believe that even though they're friends, they genuinely want to bring the pain to each other at all times.
Do. Yeah,
it's the most beautiful frenemy relationship in all of television for sure. Is those two.
When you look back at Poker Road, Ollie, I mean, obviously it was a great time in poker. I mean, you're right there during the boom, and some great things were happening. Some great people around it. You guys were traveling event to event. You must look back on that and with tons of fond memories.
The one. And it's not a happy memory for everybody, but I can't ever think about that show and not think about Justin Tronk. Because he brought so much to that show without ever really using his voice. There was a time where suddenly Gavin and Joe somehow saw a picture of my sister and started both like vying for the opportunity to date her. It turned into like this weird episode, and they were like quarreling amongst themselves. And I'm like, bro, she's my sister. Neither of you are going to date her. They're like, you stay out of it. And then the next thing I know, this synthesized, computerized voice, it was like a text-to-speech program that had been downloaded during this argument by Schronk, comes in and says, I would also like to be considered. In this like monotonous, so it was so, and I look over and Schronk's like waving at me, and I'm like, you dirt merchant, what are you freaking doing? What is happening right now?
Yeah.
Never mind like when he'd eat a lampshade at the Bellagio for $4 or he'd snort strawberry quick for like a Hamilton. Like it was, I mean, the guy was just pure, and he was such a good dude, and he brought so much to that show. And just recently, a few people have been tweeting and talking about Poker Road, and Gavin and Joe and I were interacting with some fans, and you know, someone's like, are you guys going to do it again? And I get nostalgic, man. It was so much fun. It was a lot of travel. It was a lot of bickering at times, and you know, by day 4 at Foxwoods, you're always looking for the roof access so you can jump off the building. But it was a great time, man. And the thing that always stands out for me was just the times that we spent with Schronk and how he brought so much to the show, for sure.
Yeah, from an outside, I mean, we were doing our show at the same time. I think we were probably the two shows that were on, and I remember listening to your show all the time and the production value that Schronk brought, and just like, we've got no chance. You know, we got to do we can't compete.
You need a Schronk.
Yeah,
you got to have a Schronk.
We need something because we can't compete with that. And
so
we
sound
didn't even
drops.
try. Yeah, he was fantastic, no question.
He was good, man. And you know, hat tip to, you know, Court Harrington, who, you know, was the unsung hero too back there at the controls. And I know he just tweeted me the other day. He's up in Charlotte, not far from where I'm at here in Atlanta, languishing in snowmageddons that result in like 0.1 inches of water on the ground. The whole city comes to a grinding halt. This is some Mutantville right here. But yeah, he's not far away. I know we need to catch up, and you know, I know Seabach went back to the Bay Area, and I'm there not, you know, every so often. Got to catch up with those guys. It would be good, man. We should get a reunion show. We should have like the Poker Road reunion on the 2+2 Pokercast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
right?
we have Stapes actually on in about a half an hour.
Get out of here.
Yeah, Stapes is coming on. I mean, like I was saying, a lot of guys, or you guys have done you've done quite well. Some people have moved on. Look at Huff is on Broadway.
Yeah. I know.
Are you as surprised as everybody that Stapes actually has a job?
You know, Stapes having a home is actually more impressive than that. I mean, because rent is something that happens every 30 days. You have to remember it. It requires money. And the fact that he's been able to live like a normal existence is fantastic. I mean, no, but in all honesty, and I know Stapes has a ton of fans on the 2+2 site because there's a guy that's pure. I mean, you talk about a guy that's idgaff, like really does not care and is as self-deprecating as anybody you're going to come across, and really witty about it the whole time. I mean, he's the man for sure. And we all kind of spun off in different directions, right? But none of us disappeared, right? Gavin, I mean, well, what is Joe up to these days? Can someone please tell me? Someone told me a rumor like he was out stomping grapes in Napa at one point on like some existential wine excursion.
Maybe
working in a vineyard or something. What's he up to now?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't think it's anything involved high pro. I haven't seen his name kicking around at all. Gavin is up in Alaska playing poker up there, as far as I know, and. And the rest of you guys, Gabos, you know, grinding the MTTs and doing well. So it seems like the crew is doing quite well.
It's the PayPal of poker. Everybody who was at PayPal at the beginning went on to found amazing businesses.
Yeah.
And
so what happened to people involed with this show?
Yeah, well,
we're still here. Nothing's happening.
What the hell, guys?
We're terrible.
Well, you have to have ambition.
Yeah.
Thankfully. In all seriousness, though, thankfully there is still a alive and well, going on strong poker podcast out there because, you know, it's just the realest form of interaction you're ever going to get with the players on the circuit, and the most connection I think that you're going to get as far as a community of fans and an audience is concerned with any sort of media property or you know, content. And that's why I love the podcast format, dude. It was just so great. You can curse, you can be yourself. You don't have to worry about Big Brother watching. It's not about, you know, the bottom line. It's more about just being authentic. And you guys do a great job of it, man. Seriously.
Oh, thanks. Are you playing poker much anymore?
Well, the state of Georgia, I've come to learn, does not allow legal poker.
No, it does not.
Which is unbelievable to me, because I'm sure that every courtroom in this state has got a judge with a decanter full of scotch and 6 other scumbags sitting around playing, whatever, Hold'em or archaic version
5-card stud. Like.
Yeah, 5-card stud. Well, no, they're playing Raz. Limit Raz. I mean, God. But no, I mean, let's face it, like, this is the South, right? Isn't the poker and the roots of this country, like, it makes me shake my head all the time. You guys why on earth? Why? Don't you have bigger fish to fry?
They should. You would think. You want to play stripper trivia with Ollie? Do you think you'd be down?
Go for it.
Ollie, we did this thing with our guests we called Stripper Trivia. We have 4 general knowledge questions, and we gamble on how many you're going to get right. What do you think?
Oh, I love it. It's like Loudon Thinks with strippers.
It is. It's exactly like that.
I'm in. I'm so
All
in.
right. What you set the line. I'm gambling.
Okay. I always hate doing it at 3 because I feel like that's just a push number. So I'll just give you a note and I'll say 2.5.
I am gonna take the over.
Ollie's too
You're
smart.
pandering.
No, I'm gambling. This is real money, Ollie. I'm not.
All right, I love it.
There's no pandering. $20. All right. How many sides in a hexagon?
6.
I am off to
That's correct.
Fantastic start.
All right.
Yeah, you go.
What is the element of the periodic table represented by the symbol Fe?
Iron.
Oh, my Lord. I'm looking good.
And you know that was way too quick a response for a Google search.
That was, yeah. There's no Googling.
Wait, you can't Google.
He's not Googling.
There's money on this.
I'm not Googling. That's the point.
Not a Googler. Name the planets from the sun out.
Oh, fuck my life. Let's see.
That's the most
the
common
closest
response
is Mercury. I mean, I'm drawing virtually dead here. Wait, can I get all the planets and then put them in order? Is there any negotiating here? You tell me all the planets so I make sure I have the
that
full
seems
arsenal.
Fair. That seems fair.
You could say them in order, but you're the one who has to actually put them in order.
Sure.
I will put them in order, but let me make sure I've got all the planets first, right?
All
okay.
right.
We've got Earth, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Mars. Hey, Pluto got nixed, right? Earth, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter,
Pluto's just
Saturn.
bonus points.
Okay, Jupiter, Saturn. Is Uranus still a planet?
Yeah.
I know that sounds
Wait,
weird.
we can't answer that. We cannot answer those questions.
Oh, okay. Well, Pluto's no longer a planet. I'm almost positive of that. So that one's gone. All right. Earth, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Am I missing anything? Am I missing anything on the planets? Are you guys allowed to tell me if I've got them all so that I can put them in order?
Are we allowed to tell him he's missing
that
or
he can
not?
Put them in order whenever he wants to.
Neptune. Okay, Neptune. 3, 4, 5.
This is the best version of Stripper Trivia.
Are there 8 planets?
I can't tell you. You got to answer the question.
You know why? He's got the under, and that's exactly why he's doing this.
That's right.
Well, no, it's about honor. It's about fairness.
He's don't worry. We're going.
All right. Mercury is the closest to the sun, correct? All right, that's 1. And then I'm going to go with Venus is the second. Then I'm going to go with Earth, third rock. I'm going to go with Mars as the 4th. Otherwise, how would we get there? I'm going to say...
Nobody's ever used logic.
I know. That's the first time. Yeah, they've worked this through.
No one does logic?
No, they either know it or they don't.
Do we usually ask, like, Spearmint Rhino employees this trivia? Or?
Yes.
That's why it's called Stripper Trivia. Not because we want you to take your clothes off.
Oh, shit. Where is Neptune? That's a piece of shit planet. 4. The 5th, what? God, I'm drawn so dead. Why would I ever go further out, right? Like, you don't vacation in the freaking North Pole. You go towards the heat.
Yes.
Neptune. Is Neptune the 5th? Or is Saturn the 5th? Damn it. Time, please.
you can call Lifeline.
All right.
Wait, he hasn't answered yet.
What are you doing, Ron?
I haven't answered. Am I correct up till now? If I'm drawn dead, just say I'm drawn dead and we'll move on to the next damn question.
Up to now.
Yeah, you're still alive.
That won't change anything. You are alive.
Yeah.
I am alive. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So this is what we're hinging on right now, is whether or not I go Neptune or Saturn.
You only have to go runner. Wait, I don't know if I said that the right number of times. But
No, I feel like Neptune's a cold planet, man. I feel like we're talking like 7th level, like way out there.
I love
like Neptune
listening
and Pluto
to guy
used
work
to
through
bang.
this. This is
All right,
fantastic.
hold on. 5th is, I'm going with Saturn. How'd I do? 6th is Jupiter.
nah, you got
5th is Jupiter.
Jupiter's right after the Mars one.
Yeah. You could have said asteroid belt, too. We would have accepted that.
Son of a bitch. Jupiter's after Mars?
It really
Yes.
is. But there is an asteroid belt. He did point that out.
I did.
That is
Nobody's
a
ever said the
Fuckers.
asteroid belt before.
Well, can I get the right answer? Because I'm actually kind of dorky and I want to know. So
All right.
Jupiter's 5, Saturn is 6, or Neptune 6?
Saturn is next.
So dude, the 2 planets with the rings, fuck, what do I know?
Yeah,
5,
and then
6.
You got Uranus and then Neptune, and if you want to throw in Pluto,
You could,
at
we
the end.
accept Pluto or not, either way.
But now, the good news is now the outcome is still in question.
It is.
It's a good sweat. It's a good sweat.
So
It is. We had a great sweat there.
How's your world history?
How's your world history?
Well, that depends on what part of the world we're talking about,
We're
friend.
talking about the world, okay? So let me just hit you with it. So, of the 3 Axis powers during World War II, I need you to name 2 of those 3 Axis powers.
All right, it was
I'm prepaying. I'm prepaying. By the way, the Doyle prepaid jinx has been made.
Wait, 2 of the 3 Axis powers.
Correct. And we're not going to
Okay,
give
so
you any more
it's
information than that.
the Nina, the Punta, and the Santa Maria, right? I'm just kidding. All right, the
Take
2
it.
of the 3 Axis
Take it.
powers. Germany is 1. And the second one... Wait, why are you prepaying, Adam? You had the over, right?
Yes,
I have the over.
He
I
threw $20 at me, expecting you to get it wrong.
just jinxing. I'm jinxing him.
He just threw
Adam, why don't you take that 20 back and
Yeah.
then reach into Terrence's wallet and take another 20
I've
back
done
now that I
that.
say Japan?
I have done that. Yes. Okay, where's the?
That's correct.
That is correct. Can you get the third one?
Wait for it.
Third one's
I
tough.
don't know. Were the Russians in the fight? No, they weren't. 2 out of the 3 Axis powers. Do I say like Prussia or some shit? No, fuck them. Germany.
I feel better then, at least.
I don't know.
Finally
The
won.
20's in your pocket, right, Adam?
It is. It's in my pocket. We're all good.
Yeah.
The third one is the Papua New Guinea. I don't.
It's Papa. Correct. You are correct.
They're belligerent out there, man.
Everybody forgets about the Italians. Everybody forgets about the
It's the Italians.
Oh.
Mussolini.
Well, they
guy.
did their PR team did a great job.
They did.
On the heels of that debacle.
That was the funnest
Now-
stripper trivia we ever had.
That's true.
Yes,
That was great.
I've done something right.
Ali, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Hope we all got our fingers crossed here that the Social Life on the HLN network. What's the time slot so people can check that out?
We're on at 10 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays is when we get new episodes going, but we'll be sprinkled in throughout the week. So, just a quick DVR set would be much appreciated and hopefully worth the half-hour investment or 20 minutes as you fast forward through the ads.
Don't
Thank
just
you
try
so
to
much.
fucking watch it on PokerTube. Like,
No.
And get that Poker Road reunion going, guys. Get us
Okay.
together. I swear, I'm in.
All right, we'll do that, and I hope it isn't as long as we talk to you the next time, since the last time we talked to you, sir. I appreciate everything.
Yes, thank you so much, guys.
Talk to you later.
All right, take care.
So to continue the reunion of the Poker Road crew, why don't we bring in our old buddy, Mr. Joe Stapleton. Stapes, welcome back to the show.
Hey, fellas, thanks for having me. It's going to sound like blowing smoke, but it's truly an honor to be on the show, so thanks.
Thanks for you're off to lying already, so that's awesome. And we just finished up with Ali. What do you got for him?
Shit, Ali, he's doing okay, huh?
No, is he got anything coming out?
Well, he's, I don't know too much about it because, honestly, I'm so insanely jealous that I can't even read an article about it. So I know he's doing a show called, it's in Atlanta for, like, headline news, and it's something to do with, it's like the Daily Squawk or something. What is it?
The Social Life. The guy,
The Social Life.
He manages to, I said to him during the interview, I said, you just go do the shit that you want to do and have a camera follow you and you get paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a dream job, huh? So, like, I don't begrudge Ali anything at all. I think he's really fucking talented. and he's always been really good at, like, just doing bigger things. So, but I'm like crazy jealous. He got out of poker. He got out of poker and is on sort of a mainstream TV show. I mean, granted, it's headline news, but whatever. Like, he got out.
Unlike everybody who's in this conversation, who are all still in poker.
They keep bringing us back in.
Absolutely. And, that's the thing. So, I hate it.
With that said, you have something new to promote.
Yeah, let's.
So that leads us perfectly into that
right into
you're
EPT
about
not live,
guys. I don't know what to tell.
Some people aspire to be in poker.
You got.
I'm gonna start. That's true, absolutely. And I sound ungrateful, and I'm mostly joking, obviously. But I think Ali's great, but I'm incredibly jealous. He's got like a real TV show. It's awesome. Like, good for him.
Here's the thing about Ali. He's got talent. Like, none of us have any talent, right?
Well, I mean, you speak for yourself. I mean, I have some talent. I'm not saying I have Ali Nejad levels of talent, but
Stapes
it was amazing.
Drink a smoothie full of like garbage.
Yeah, that's talent.
That requires some amount of talent,
right? There's some talent there. The talent to know that the people want bread in circuses. Are you not entertained?
You were joking about it, but man, you are a busy cat with this poker voiceover stuff. I mean, Lon and Norman have been at it for years, but I'm guessing with the volume, I bet you might have more hours in the booth than these guys.
I mean, if you count live commentary, then yeah, I think I've got more hours than those guys. It's going to be close for TV hours, I think, because yeah, I've been really lucky. I mean, we did 100 and something odd episodes of The Big Game if you count the best of shows that we did. I've done my first year on the EPT, I did like 14 shows. I did 12 NAPTs. Then we did 52 episodes a year of the EPT the first couple of years I was out here. We're only doing 30-something this year. But yeah, it's been a lot. Like, they keep me very, very busy at PokerStars. I've been super, super lucky.
Now, here's the thing. I've been lucky enough to do about a millionth of that television stuff. I ran out of things to say after minute 20 that I started doing, live television commentary about poker. How hard is it for you to keep coming up with stuff? I mean, you're very good at what you do, but how do you not just bring out the same stuff over and over?
I mean, I do. I've been resorting to that a little bit more. And, what you do is you convince yourself you're not repeating a joke. It's a running joke. And there's a difference.
Right.
And, it's something that I've worked. I mean, thanks very much. I appreciate the kind words because, like, I do work super, super hard at it. At always at least sounding different. Maybe I'm not always cutting edge, but just not saying the same things over and over again. And it's been my philosophy from the beginning, from way back in the Poker Road days, that there's only so many ways you can say it's ace, king versus queens. There's only so many different ways that can be entertaining. So I'm always looking for, just ways to I want to make poker fun to watch for anyone, not just for people who love poker. And it's not always easy, and I don't think I always succeed at it. But I do work incredibly, incredibly hard at it. For every hour of television I'm doing about between 4 and 6 hours of prep for it.
Wow, that's crazy. How much direction do you get from stars, from the producers of the content? Are you free reign to do what you want to do there, other than cuss, obviously?
Well, I don't know if the first part of your question, the producers are trying to tell a story with every episode. So that's something that I don't fight them on, obviously. I want to tell the story. I want to know what their idea and their vision is for the show, for where the show is going. As for like the jokes I'm allowed to make, I will say that they, when it comes to those things, most of the time I'm coming up with them and I'm free to do what I want. Sometimes they suggest things in certain spots and I try to take those suggestions as often as possible because it actually makes it a lot easier for me to not come up with something from scratch. And then as far as being censored goes, man, they are so fucking good to me. Like, very few things don't get through and I'm a little spoiled and sometimes I throw a hissy fit when something doesn't go through that I think should. And, I mean, look, it's my version of a hissy fit. It's my version of a hissy fit is to have a joke that doesn't go through, and then I'll go, Grinder raises. I'm like, oh, are we sure we can say grinder raises? Because it might mean an erection. Are we sure? Are we sure we can say grinder raises?
That's your objection.
Yeah, that's my like passive aggressive. I get it out of my system, and then we move on. But yeah, in general, I'm really, really lucky to work for creative people that quote unquote get it. Like they really get what I'm going for, and we're all on the same team, and they try to set me up and give me fun stuff to work with. We all just want to make a really fun show.
Are there any that you were surprised you got through? Like, is there one that was offside you were just doing to fuck around and then they just let it through?
Sometimes they let it through and then I go back and change it anyway because I feel guilty about it. If I'm a little too harsh on a player or something like that, I don't ever really want to insult someone. I really want to make it just about just fun for everyone, poking fun rather than making fun, I guess, if there's a difference between the two. One thing that got through that I had a little bit of a fight, and I was somewhat surprised, which was good, was this one hasn't aired yet. Dan Coleman and some folks at his table keep talking about, is the heater real? Is the heater real? And, if this hand holds, the heater is real. And so he gets into this big like race type situation where I say, it's time to see if the heater is real or if it's made up like the dinosaurs in evolution. And
that's fantastic.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and that raised an eyebrow, and then the eyebrow went back down. So, like, I'm really, really lucky.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm down with the producers that are letting that slide.
Here's what I wrote that I knew wasn't going to get through.
Yeah,
it was about this guy named this kid named Patel, and not the one that we know and love, but one that plays high stakes cash games in England and rarely plays tournaments. And I wanted to make a joke about how Patel, actually this is true, Patel is the seventh most popular surname in all of the UK, and all of London, excuse me, seventh most popular surname in all of London. And I know that this has got to be a fact because 13 of them live in the flat next door to me.
Ooh.
And yeah, exactly. And I had no real, that's in my stand-up bit. And you guys said, ooh, that's weird. That's really weird because... No, it's bizarre because, look, I do that bit in my stand-up, and my white liberal friends hate it. They hate it. It makes them really uncomfortable. And then the people of color all come up to me after the show and tell me what a funny gag it is.
Well, that's funny. You can't see me right now, but I said ooh, but I was like grinning my face off.
But ooh, like, in the context of that's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, ooh, the context. Not that we didn't think it was funny because
I'll tell you what, though. Honestly, it's really weird that we're getting into a different territory here, guys. I'm sorry for derailing things, but I honestly think that if you guys, so when you guys go ooh, right, then people who listen to this podcast, they go ooh.
Ah, yes.
And if you guys had just laughed and knock on it, I think less people notice it. I think that but we have a very sort of hive mentality, a hive mind, where like we're all kind of afraid to laugh at this stuff now. Like I feel really bad that we've been trained that our initial reaction to that joke is to go ooh rather than to laugh. And I'm not saying that it's not a raw joke, and I'm not saying that it's potentially even an offensive joke. But just like we're all so sensitive now, like everyone's so sensitive.
Being
crazy.
Being offended is the national pastime. Right?
Say the joke again. Let's try it again, Stapes. Give us the joke again.
All right, hold on, but I'm going to tell it the way I actually tell it. So I was reading on Wikipedia the other day. I love how diverse London is. I love it's so diverse here. I was reading on Wikipedia the other day that the surname Patel is the seventh most popular surname in all of London, and I can totally believe that because in my apartment building, there are 13 people named Patel, and that's just in the flat next door. Yes, there you go.
That's good. That's good because they all live in the same place.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's Indian families.
I got it.
That's proud.
No, Thomas doesn't like it.
Thanks for the help. That is how you yes and a bit. That sounded like some classic morning zoo shit right there. Everyone just laughing, just slapping each other on the back so hard.
We'll edit the other part out. So I mentioned that we did have your boy Ali on earlier. He was, when we gave him the update on you, he was both surprised and shocked that you not only had a job, but had a place to live. So I wanted to ask you, What's it like for you to live in London? I mean, you're from the States. You're getting thrown into all these countries, traveling around. Give us a rundown of what it's like. Have you getting used to it yet?
Are you fucking kidding me? Ali really pretended to not know what I've been doing?
He was kidding. Look at the indignation.
All right, anyway, what was the real question?
Are you used to living in Europe? Is that cool for you? Do you enjoy it, or would you rather be, all things considered, be home?
The answer is yes to both questions. I do enjoy it very much. I have had an absolute blast living in London for the last 2 years. I mean, I couldn't even tell you guys the shit that I've been up to.
No, you could tell us. That's why you're here.
I just, look, I don't know what to say, because the problem is, like, now I used to be able to say whatever I wanted because no one was listening to me, and now, like, lots of people listen, and so I've had to rein it in a little bit lately.
Get early 2 jacks in the hole on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I talked about some absolute ridiculous stuff. I mean, I could never run for political office ever in my entire life. So anyway, London's really good to me. Look, I'm a novelty. I'm an American living in London who's on television. Now, granted, it ain't really nothing to write home about, but you're still on TV. The EPT in London is on their biggest channel, like their NBC.
Yeah.
And I have like a decent expendable income and a really cool job where I travel a lot, and I have like a foreign accent, and I'm like mildly entertaining and pretty good with the spoken word.
Wait a sec. So, are you scoring with the girls? Is what you're telling me?
You must get laid like crazy.
You're getting laid?
It's been a really fun couple of years.
Give us a number. Give us a number
no,
in 2 years.
No, that's ridiculous. That is rape culture.
Okay.
We're supposed to be offended. You might as well throw around words like friend zone. We don't do that anymore. It's not about numbers. It's about how many lives we touched and how many diseases we dodged.
How many lives have you touched?
We've touched some lives here. We did.
All right. So you're having fun in Europe, but all things being considered, you'd rather be home?
Yes, I would. I miss the United States of America. I have a love-hate relationship with America as a whole, as I'm sure most, sort of educated folks do at this point. No one that I know is like completely in love with it anymore, and we got some things we got to fix. And despite all that, I love it enough that I want to come back. I miss it very much. I say America, it's like it's dating a really hot chick that treats you like shit. Like,
yep.
It's fucking awesome. Like, it's almost worth it. Like, it's so close. And so you just have a really hard time. You're probably never going to leave because you're like, man, we still pretty much have the hottest chick in the world. So
Can you ever get to a relationship counselor with America, do you think? Do you think you could ever see somebody have a little bit of therapy and say that,
be in the sharing tree?
Maybe we could work these things out. Like, you don't always have to throw all these people in jail, that kind of thing.
I don't know, man, but you got to try, right? Which is why, like, I want to come back. Like, I think that part of the reason why I want to have a wider circle of influence is not just to feed my own ego and to potentially one day, know the touch of a woman, but it is to I really want to do good. I think that that people of my influence is very mild, and I have a very small group of people that I can possibly touch and do good, but I want to do good, and I want to do good in America. And so that's part of the reason why I want to come back. And I just don't feel like and by the way, have you seen the price of rent in London? Like, I can't even afford to live here.
By the way, when you roll around London, you mentioned it's on their biggest channel. Is it automatically, oh, look, it's Stapes, or it's usually that, oh, it's that guy?
It's the American bloke.
What do you get? What's the general play?
The general play is no one knows or gives a fuck who I am.
Nobody.
No, look, I can't say nobody. In the 2 years I've been here, I've been recognized in a club like once or twice. I got recognized like in a cell phone store one time. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it every single time. But it's been like a half a dozen times total in the 2 years I've lived here. So not really anything that's that crazy. When I go into a card room, it's a different story. that's a little more fun. But no, it's not. I'm not anything here. I just have a decent job, which is nice to be able to say when there's a lot of people. It's a big city, so there's a lot of people, that are struggling, and a lot of people that are, haven't made it as an artist yet. I don't know how long you guys were at, working stuff in poker before you ever got paid a livable wage. I did that for a long time, and now that I'm not in that situation, it's just kind of it's a nice feeling.
I'll let you know when I get there. Terrence, have you ever had to sign an autograph? Or not had to. Have you been asked to sign an autograph?
I have not. I've had a few pictures. And
never an autograph.
I don't think I've
not
signed
one
an
autograph. Stapes, how many autographs have you signed?
Wait, Terrence, you don't mean even in a poker room?
Yeah, I guess so. At the World Series, I might have signed like a playing card or something.
That's one.
It was probably
that counts.
A deuce. I'm guessing it was a deuce.
You signed the deuce?
Maybe a 3. I might have gotten a 3.
All right. Stapes, how many you got? You got
I don't know. Like, it's weird. I feel like if I even say a number, it's like I'm keeping track.
No. 723. All right.
Well, it's like, I don't know. No, like a couple dozen maybe.
Yeah.
It's weird because now we sort of sign stuff without people asking us to, just because sometimes they're awkward to ask, and I would rather them have it than be afraid to ask. So a lot of times, like if we're giving away a shirt or like the guitar we gave away at the Hard Rock, we signed it. And we didn't, I don't know if we were specifically asked or not. I can't remember, but a lot of the time, like we just throw that in as like a bonus that we'll sign it. And most people seem to be into it. So as far as people coming up to me and asking me for one straight up, it's probably just been like a couple dozen times, but always in a casino. I think only once or twice in London outside of a casino, but it's pretty much only a casino people want your autograph.
I have one career autograph.
You have one career.
Cool, man. That's so awesome.
It was the greatest day. It was the greatest thing.
Let me guess. Is this what happened? Did you go like this? The first 5 things out of your mouth was you going, "Are you fucking with me? You better not be fucking with me, because you're probably, this guy's fucking with me. Everyone, look, this fucking guy's fucking with me." And then finally he like stood on your porch for 3 days like in Fight Club, and you finally let him in and signed the autograph.
Yeah,
by
something
the way,
like that.
One of mine, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to count. There was the one I signed when the guy thought I was D-Dang. I'm not sure if that one. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to count that one.
Or Johnny Chan, yeah. I want to ask you about the EBT Not Live. You and your boy, Mr. Hardigan, are going to be doing a podcast. You're coming at us?
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry, guys. This is so awkward. I don't even know. It's like you found out like we're trying to date the same girl. And I'm just like, no, it's cool. Look, I can provide her with different things than you can, and I really don't want to take your place at all. I just want to do my thing with her. You can still do your thing, and there's more than enough of her to go around.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you just call the poker community fat?
Oh yeah.
Well, I didn't, but I mean, would I have been wrong? So I'm so sorry. By the way, I don't make fat. I was not talking about you specifically, sir. EBT Not Live. Yeah, they. It's weird. I have another love-hate relationship with this. Is that like I feel like it took a while for them to sell me on it, basically, guys, because I was like, guys, this feels like a step backwards to me. Like, no offense to podcast hosts.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I was doing a podcast in like 2007.
Yeah.
And now it's 2015. It's 8 years later, and I'm doing a podcast again. But this is how they sell it to me. And they're like, we want it. It can be edgy. You can say F-bombs. You can tell the stories on the road that we won't let you tell on EPT Live. And what we want is just you and James talking. Just for an hour and just talking about the behind the scenes of the EPT. And we just kind of want to use it maybe to push people towards satellite so they know how fun it is to come play on the EPT, and we can maybe drive up numbers. So they say I can basically do whatever I want on the show, tell stories that behind the scenes stuff. Because it's one of my shows, it wasn't supposed to be very labor intensive, but I'm trying to add all these bells and whistles to it. And James is super in support of that, and so we're putting together, something. If you listen to the old Huff and Stapes, it's going to have that sort of like semi-professional quality to it. and then hopefully will be fairly interesting content. Because if it's not, then I'm going to tell him I don't want to do it anymore.
Aren't you sick of Hart again? I mean, you guys are never apart.
In a word, yes. But no, James is James. Look, we definitely, I think, get sick of each other at some point. Just like any relationship. But we both have each other's backs so much. Like, he's just crazy had my back from the beginning. If it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't have been on the EPT in the first place. I wouldn't be on the live streams in the first place. And if it weren't for the fact that, God, everyone says this sounds like such a blowhard, but like, he really is, when we're performing, like a very giving performer. Like, he doesn't care to be in the spotlight at all. He doesn't care to have any punchlines. He doesn't care if I need him to set me up with something, provided he like doesn't have a huge disagreement with like being off brand with the joke. He'll set me up for it. And so I get to do what I do because of him being like that, and also because of the production team too. Everyone's sort of working super hard to make me look good, James included. So even though we certainly spent a lot of time together, it's a pretty good partnership, and the yin and yang of what comes out through the speakers works pretty well too, I think.
Oh, in all seriousness, you guys are a great team. It's I'm looking forward to listening to the show because you guys do a great job, joking aside. But you mentioned Huff. This is a bit of a Poker Road reunion. He blew us off. He just, as soon as we said Stapes, he was like, no, I'm good.
Well, there's another joke here. I mean, I doubt highly that he did that.
He did not. He did not. He just didn't answer, actually, is what happened.
Wait, you guys reached out to him, on Facebook, and he didn't answer?
I emailed him. I could have had his wrong email. Who knows? I'm not going to...
He didn't mention it to me. We talk fairly regularly. He is just still... I don't know if you were leading into questions about him. Should I talk about it?
I was going to say how great he's doing as well.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic. I mean, he works, basically we were doing Huff and Stapes, and his ship came in, and he needed to go, and I couldn't begrudge him that. And luckily, I had an offer from PokerStars to move to London that I had turned down because I wanted to keep doing Huff and Stapes. And then when he decided he was going to New York, I was like, okay, well, nothing stopped me now, and I moved to London. But he's doing great. He's producing things. His show that he produced, The Missing, did really well this fall. And got all kinds of accolades and was, great reviews. And where was I going? I was talking about something else. But yes, Huff and I talk all the time. Huff is still my number one go-to sounding board. And I will completely admit that several of the best things, I've been doing a lot of stand-up lately, several of the best things in my stand-up act are things that we worked on together, or jokes that were straight up his that he gave to me because he's like, I'm not really doing this anymore. You can do this bit or that bit. And, there are things that maybe we had worked on together before, but they're really his bits. And so he's just still someone that I talk to about everything. So if he had gotten your guys' email, he probably would have mentioned it to me.
You mentioned the stand-up. I know you were doing some. You challenged Stapes. There was a stand-up bit as well, but are you doing any in a club? Like, give us what's going on there.
Well, the open mic scene in London is really awesome, actually. I don't think I'd be this far along if I weren't in London. That's another great thing about being an American here, is that you're kind of a novelty act. You have a little bit of novelty appeal, just the same way like a halfway decent stand-up comic in the U.S., there's something extra funny about him. He just sounds funny. He sounds like a douche or whatever. So I kind of get the benefit of that a little bit. And because I was on, I am on television and have like a decent Twitter following, I'm not really a tough sell to open mics here. And that's basically all I'm doing is, they're called open mics, but you got to book them months in advance. But I'm an easy sell for those guys because sometimes I moved up to a bigger venue and a better bar because the guy who runs that night was a fan of the EPT and knew I was going to be good and didn't really worry about it and put me on in a better spot than most other people do. So I've been really lucky that I have those things going for me. I do have the experience also of already, having been used to doing things in front of a camera and in front of a crowd. And it's been going pretty well. I've only had a couple of paid gigs, and they weren't, going to make me rich. But I don't really care. I'm also very lucky that like I can do gigs for free and it doesn't really matter for me because I'm not counting on it for a living. But I've had mostly good shows. I've had a couple of really bad ones, and but it's been great. It's been great. I'm doing a couple shows every week. I got another one in London next week in Chelsea in West London. I'm going to MC the entire night of a show, which I like doing. It's been really good. It's been awesome for the most part.
What are those not so great ones? Every comedian talks about bombing, that it makes them grow as a comedian, and you're sort of, it's this weird situation. Can you give us an idea what that's like?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we all know what it's like to bomb at something, right?
Sure.
Where you just are trying to do something and maybe you have an audience and maybe you don't. I don't even really mean performing, but you just drop the ball so hard and everyone is looking at you and you have that moment where like your butt clenches and because it has to, or else you're going to shit yourself and you break into a cold sweat. Those are all things that happen when you bomb. And I will say that as many good shows as you have in a row, when you bomb, when you're done, you think about quitting. Like every single time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it's pretty cliche to do this, but I was drawing some comparisons. If we want, we can bring it back to poker between stand-up comedy and poker.
Sure.
In that, like, when you lose, you sometimes feel like you're the worst. All your friends are also your competition. As much as you want them to succeed, if they do, you don't. And you still hang out with them and you still trade tips. And so I think there's a lot about, that poker sort of relates to it. And when you win, when you go up and make them laugh, there's nothing that can really match that feeling.
Yeah. And I asked you, I think on Twitter about putting them on YouTube, your stand-up shows. And you had something interesting to say. You said you weren't comfortable with that yet.
Yeah, it's not that I'm not comfortable with it. Like, I think the videos would do fine. Like, I'm not afraid of criticism, especially the ones I would put up would only be the ones that I did really well. But it's more because I do get people, random strangers off Twitter who come to my shows. And I do have tons of friends that have come to multiple shows of mine. And I feel like a lot of people, if they put on, if I have 10 or 12 minutes worth of clips on YouTube, that's going to be the 10 or 12 minutes they're probably going to see when they come see me live. So I don't want everyone to know my whole set before they come see me because A, they'll feel probably cheated, and B, I won't get as good a reaction from them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense until you build up a big sort of library that stuff you're not doing anymore that you don't want to put it out there.
Yeah, that's all the comedians got tons of clips online, but they also have hours and hours worth of material. And so, maybe in a year or two, I'll retire some of the stuff. I won't do it anymore, and then I can put the videos up. I put up one video a while back from my first gig I did here. I put up like a 10-minute clip or something that has a lot of jokes that still live to this day. They actually do better now, those jokes, but there's stuff on there. I did a challenge Stapes type thing with Liv Baree once, and if you watch all 3 episodes of that and the third one, I actually kind of bomb at stand-up. It was the first time I'd done it here in London. That was amazing, actually. It was the first time I'd done it here in London. That was 2 years ago, and because I'd put it off, and then for this forfeit, I ended up having to go do stand-up, and I had written nothing, up until this thing. So I went up and did 5 minutes, but it was an open mic night. It was a musician's open mic night.
Oh.
And so there were all these guys with guitars and stuff, dudes with long hair and girls with, nose rings. And the MC gets up on stage and goes, "Hey, I know you guys are all excited to play your music tonight, but first, this comedian here for a TV show."
Silence.
So, yeah, it was complete silence, and then what happened was my first joke, I figured I'd get him by like making fun of America, right? I'd make fun of America a little bit, and then I'll do like the whole American living in London so weird and different, and that's going to get everybody. First of all, the pub was in a European backpackers hostel. So There was like not any person there that knew what it was like living in London. Like they'd all just like gotten there that day. Second of all, my first joke, which I admit isn't a very good joke, is something about how Americans, people are always saying Americans like to shoot their mouths off, but if they did, then they all wouldn't be so fucking fat, right?
That's not bad.
In the front row, it's not that good either, though.
It's not
fine.
great.
Like,
it's not great.
Yeah. And so in the front row are two overweight American tourists.
Who are not laughing.
and they're not laughing. And you know who else wasn't laughing at the F-bomb?
Who?
Their 8-year-old daughter who was sitting with them. And so it was just like I immediately alienated the audience. No one knew what I was talking about. And then
that's great.
Your performance suffers as a result. Like you start having a freak out up there. Your eyes start twitching. You break into a cold sweat. Your voice cracks, and it's like just a slow descent into hell. That's online somewhere.
You got to embrace it, like Norm Macdonald did at that roast.
You've got that story now, which in the future you can incorporate into a potential future act. So it's sort of every cloud silver lining, some bullshit like that, right?
You mentioned Challenge
Stapes.
Stapes
from everything.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned the Challenge Stapes series. I watched them all. I think they're hilarious. A couple of my absolute favorite, of course, and I'm sure everybody's, is your English breakfast smoothie.
That is not my favorite.
I don't know how on earth you managed to eat that. I mean, I can see taking a sip and cutting the camera and going and puking. You managed to put a pint of this shit down. And for those that haven't seen it, it's eggs, bacon, mushrooms, pickled onions, Marmite, HP sauce, orange juice, tea, napkin. There's more, I'm sure. And it made this even looking at it was
brown sludge,
really bad and chunky.
There was one thing actually that was so gross that it didn't even make the edit. One of the extra ingredients I just threw in for no reason was period blood.
No, Jesus. Okay, now we're off the reservation.
Well, actually, Adam, my least favorite challenge Stapes, other than the first one we did, which is kind of boring, and we didn't really know what we were doing yet, is the milkshake one, is the English breakfast smoothie, because I don't really do anything in that. Like I'm not very funny. Like I just stand there and drink like I do something like just dumb.
Stapes.
And so
it's hilarious. Trust me. I'd sit here and just laugh. I laughed hysterically at it.
I think that says more about you than
it probably does. But I mean, how you got that whole thing? It's like, you know what it's like? It's like the worst fear factor ever.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's way scaled down. Like not even. I mean, honestly. The thing wasn't that hard to drink. I'm going to tell you right now, the only thing, and this line sort of made it into the video, you can't really tell what I'm saying, is the bottle of HP sauce. That's all I could taste.
God, that's disgusting.
And so that made it really difficult. Other than that, it really wasn't bad at all. Chewing up the Brussels sprouts every couple minutes was a little tough also.
Forgot about the Brussels sprouts. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That was great. I love the series. Hey, we play a thing called Stripper Trivia on here where we ask our guests a series of 4 general knowledge questions, and Terrence and I gamble on how many you get right. Are you down for that?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Awesome. By the way, just so you know, Ollie got 3 out of 4. So that's your goal. I guess I have to set the line, don't I?
Yes,
I'm going to set the line at, I'm going to say 2 for Stapes.
Hold on. What's the name of his show again?
I can't remember. The Social Life.
The Social Life. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to get 3. If I get 4 of these right, then I can have a show called The Socialer Life.
Yes, exactly. The +1 Social Life. Okay, so the very first question of Stripper Trivia is, how many sides in a hexagon?
A hexagon is 6 sides.
That's correct.
You're looking good, T. So far, 1 for 1. Terrence.
All right. From the periodic table of elements, which element is represented by the symbol Fe?
Fe is iron.
That's correct.
I'm going to pay him right now.
I got the straight free roll.
I'm prepaying. The jinx is live.
Gets a little tougher now.
Name the planets from the sun out.
From the sun out. All right. Well, we got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Hold on, I gotta start over because I forgot how many I've done. Earth is 3, so then Mars is next. This one's tough. Oh, wait, what's the old mnemonic device here? Hold on.
If he hits the mnemonic.
That's funny, because in person, we always get the mnemonic device, and we've never had it on the show yet.
Can he remember it, though?
Hold on a second. I can't. Hold on. It's M. Here we go. I'm going to work it out like a fucking chimp.
He's going to
just like the H you see before Google.
Oh, this is great.
M. V. Mother, very... Fuck, I'm never going to remember that. I'm going to have to take a guess. I think it goes Mars, Jupiter... No, wait. Hold on. Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune.
Are we done?
Pluto. Is Pluto back in the game?
Give just...
I think you skipped one in there. You almost had it. It's Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
Oh, Uranus. I left out Uranus altogether. How the fuck? I have like the most puerile sense of humor of anyone on the planet, and I skipped right over Uranus.
That's shocking to me. I don't know how that happened.
I hope you would skip over my anus, but anyway, aside from that.
All right. 2 out of 3.
The last question. I can still win $20. You can still get a chop with Ali with the exact same question. So, from World War II, there were 3 Axis powers. 3 Axis powers. Name 2 of them.
I don't have to name all 3. Germany, Japan, Italy.
He gets them all for the
money.
Bonus credit.
And he got by the way, you beat Ollie because, he knew all 3. No, did he get all 3? He did.
Because he didn't remember the third one.
He said Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, he thought it was Prussia, which is actually the same as Germany, really.
So you each got 3, but you get the bonus point for getting all 3.
He hits
Boom.
the bonus number.
Lightning round.
All right.
Way to go, Stapes.
Give this man a TV show.
By the way, isn't it great that everyone just like forgets that Italy was an Axis power?
Yeah.
Like, no one even brings it up. How do they get away with that shit?
Because they were useless.
Except Mussolini's family.
Yeah, they were largely useless. Germany had to bail them out at every stage.
Didn't Ali say they had a great PR network?
Yeah,
their PR was really good.
Yeah. So we're making the same joke, basically.
Yes. That is exactly what happened.
Indeed. Thanks so much, Stapes. We'll all look forward to EPT Not Live. When is that podcast going to debut?
We are recording the first episode on Wednesday of next week on the 5th, and I believe it's coming out on the 6th. I think it's coming out the next day.
Fantastic. We'll all tune in. Thank you so much for your time.
As Stapes once said, listen or don't listen, he gets paid the same anyway.
Does not care. Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
We don't have time for mailbag this week. We had some mail.
Which is good.
Some good mail, too. We had some constructive...
But we have some guests that went on, right?
We did, yeah.
Those guys can talk. It was great to have them on. So we'll get to all the emails, forum posts, all that other stuff next week.
We'll have a big email segment next week. We'll do one
segment.
One entire segment for email.
We'll try not to cram a zillion guests into one show for once.
I appreciate the emails. Please continue to send them in. We got some criticism this week, which is fine. We're going to
cool.
We love both your opinions. Let us know what you think of the show. Really appreciate that. Send it in Pokercast at 2plus2.com. We're going to go to break. We're going to go. We got some in case you missed it. We're going to go out and talk to Mr. Lee Jones at the Isle of Man to talk some PokerStars stuff and finish up the show. You're listening to the 2plus2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
This week on The Lyman Show, Lyman interviews WPT tournament director Matt Savage.
I don't see guys making a living playing live tournament poker. I don't see it. I've never seen it. I can't point one out. I can point out a lot of guys who are asking for a buy-in to their next tournament, who used to be a big deal in poker, but I don't see guys, regular guys, not sponsored guys, traveling the circuit and making a living. I think that it's like a unicorn.
Listen to The Lyman Show for free every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, streaming live at crushlivepoker.com on Twitch, and also listen to this interview for free by going to crushlivepoker.com, podcasts, free bonus podcast, number 6, Matt Savage.
Hey, folks, don't forget to follow the Pokercast crew on Twitter. Adam is at PokercastAdam, and he'll keep you up to date on things like upcoming guests, listener contests, and all the latest bacon-related food innovations. Follow Ross at PokercastRoss, and you'll discover new hip-hop bands and learn how to not play micro-stakes no limit. Also, give us a like on Facebook, where we post lots of photos and other nonsense.
Hi guys, it's Mike from ProfessionalPoker.com and the 2+2 store with some great news for our PokerStars players. You can now use your frequent player points to purchase gift cards available from ProfessionalPoker.com. These same cards will also work at the 2+2 store. The gift cards come in increments of $25 and $50, and you can apply multiple gift cards per order. Now you can get the books, videos, and ebooks from all the major publishers using just your FPPs. So check out the gift card section of the PokerStars FPP store and pick up the poker training material you've had your eye on for a while at the 2+2 store and ProfessionalPoker.com.
Under the Gun opens to free X 200 big blind deep. I defend my big blind with Queen Jack off with no spades. The flop comes Ace King 10 rainbow with one spade, and it's a flop that favors the opener's range more than mine, and it's hard for me to check raise any semi-bluff, so I check call his c-bet through deception and to protect my range. Turn is an 8, putting a flush draw out there, and this time I check raise to set it up for a pot-sized river shove. The river is the worst card in the deck, another ace, and I check with the intention of folding to a shove, but he elects not to turn 10-8 into a bluff, even though it's a great candidate with the full house blockers, and I win the pot.
Team Pro Online's Mickey Memento Mori Peterson is a Supernova VIP. This is the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. We are now going to get into some more, in case you missed it. Those were two good interviews. We love both those guys. In case you missed it, the Aviation Club, the famous Aviation Club in Paris, has closed for good. It is no more, operating since 1907.
Wow.
That's I'm not going to do any math, but that's a long time.
That's before people started playing PLO.
They wouldn't have played a lot of PLO there, no, in 1907. Last September, the club was raided and closed by the French gaming authorities for employment irregularities and money laundering.
Ooh.
Which sounds like there was some bad eggs operating the fine establishment. I actually stayed on a block away from the and never went in. I went with my wife and we stayed like on the Champs-Élysées. That's where the Aviation Club was close.
Did you not have dress shoes? Because that's what caught me.
I had them.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I had to. You tried to get in and couldn't get in?
Well, I couldn't get in. So my experience at the Aviation Club was I heard that there was a tournament that night. You know, not big, but big for me at the time, couple €100 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I roll up dressed as the typical very distinctively non-French looking person. I had running shoes on and I stopped the door. I really just wanted to find out what time the tournament started because it wasn't on a website, it wasn't on anything, but I knew it was that night. And so I walk, and the second the doorman sees me, he's like, "You cannot come in with those shoes." And I said, "Well, I just want to know what
it's
time."
It's an awesome French accent, by the way.
Thank you. I tried. I've been working on that for years. I just want to know what the time the tournament is. He says, "I don't know." I'm like, "Is there somebody I can ask?" He's like, and then he finally grudgingly lets me go upstairs, like if I promise to be really fast and go in, and I ask what time it is, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you need better shoes." And it sends me outside. Tournament's at 7:00. I come back. I go to the store. I buy like the cheapest pair of
sick
shoes
rake.
that I can. Yeah, well, I mean, it was like €30 shoes. It wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, and you needed shoes probably.
I mean, I don't know if anybody really Vietnamese dress shoes when they're backpacking through Europe.
Are you still wearing those?
Probably still there. Didn't cash in the tournament, so that's all
you
I've
did play.
got. I've got last. No, I did play. I didn't cash, but that was my only. So I don't quite have the nostalgic feeling that some people might have. Like when we talked about the Taj last week closing,
Different.
that was different because the Taj I've some good memories, rounders and all that. But the Aviation Club, not so much. But hey. Well,
yeah, there's a group there that wanted to keep the club alive. They were trying to bring it out and run it under a different umbrella, and the French authorities decided not to grant the club a license anymore. So,
you ever play there, Thomas?
I have a similar story.
Oh, okay.
I was traveling.
No shoes.
I was in Paris.
No underwear. They wouldn't let me in.
Well, I told them I had some at the hotel. I was quite far from the Aviation Club, and I took a metro. And I went over there, and I was so excited, and it was probably around the same time because it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was cool because the Aviation Club, it was like for me, it was like the second season of the WPT, and it was a big stop.
Oh, is this the Tony G get on your bike?
Yeah,
was that the Aviation Club?
This is much earlier than that.
Yeah.
Probably like 5 years before that. And so I get there, and I go up, and they're like, "Oh, do you have a membership?" And I had to sign up. But I couldn't play that day.
24 hours.
I had to wait 24 hours. So I had to get back on the metro, go back to like the 14th fucking, sector, and then like wait 24 hours in my room and come back. But I did get to play 5-card PLO. So.
Of course, Chevelle.
Yes, Chevelle. Did you get dealt double suited R's and D's? Because that was the other thing. They used the French deck there, right? So a straight is R D K 10-9. It's not exactly the easiest thing when you get. I'm dealt a pair of R's. I know that's good. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure if it's like get all my stack in good or if I want to play a medium sized pot. Yeah,
sounds like the runner hobgoblin, the Roland DeWolf quote. In case you missed it, online poker liquidity sharing for Nevada and Delaware could be here within a month. Now, this has been in the works for a long time. An agreement was signed between the two states a year ago. Now coming to fruition. They blamed it on technical glitches. I don't know that it takes a year. This actually gives you a little bit of insight. Like, it took a year to figure this out. Like,
I'm certainly not surprised by this. When we're talking obviously about Nevada, we're really functionally only talking about one site in existence. I mean, obviously South Point exists, but we're talking about WSOP.com, and so there. And I've talked about this in the show before, how hard it is to integrate this kind of stuff so that it passes regulation in both states. And in the case of Delaware, obviously they've got a functional monopoly off of their own site, but it is also 888 software.
Well, that's the thing. We're talking about 888 software, which is already set
with
up.
888 software.
It's
all the back end stuff. All the responsible gaming stuff, all the stuff that 99.99% of poker players will never see. But it's all the back end. It's all the infrastructure. So I'm really not surprised that it took this long, and it'll probably still take longer, to be honest.
New Jersey is the big player now of the three states, and it still does not have liquidity sharing available, although apparently it is on the to-do list amongst other things. It's a good step. I mean, hopefully this happens in the short time frame that they say it's going to happen, because it's a precedent going forward that other states can look at it, especially when it does get accepted in other states, California, wherever, that this is sort of what happens. We're moving towards this.
Right, and it'll probably help, obviously, that, everybody's saying, oh, Delaware, big deal. There's like 30 poker players there, but it's probably the ideal situation where you're not experimenting on a very
huge
large population base. Get this out of the way before we're talking about California numbers. You get one of these small states like Delaware.
Yeah. In case you missed it, a poker player named Big Hustler, love that name, proves skill can overcome spin and go rake. When spin and goes became popular, we talked about it. The rake is fairly high. They're difficult to. They're for the casual player. Bring them in, make them have fun, have this shot at the big prize. They're going to be hard for professionals to grind for a living. The rake is pretty high. The variance, of course, is going to be pretty high as well. Not that is going to affect you if you play a fair number of these things. But I guess if you're playing $1 million, it's still going to hit you.
Well, and it affects your bankroll too. I mean, because variance for any given bankroll makes you play smaller.
Yeah. So in January, this big hustler proposed a prop bet to play $5,030 spin and goes while maintaining a chip expected value of 8.5%. He wanted 3-1 to successfully complete it. He got some action at 3-1, which surprised me. But chip expected value is the same as ROI, I guess, right? I've never heard that term.
Chip expected value, I think, is just basically how many chips he would have won over that period, right? So it does not even ROI. So I'm not 100% sure why it was done that way, but it's basically saying that he increased his total number of chips by that much.
Okay. So anyway, he knocked it off. He wanted his had to be 8.5%. He ended up at 8.8% over 554 events. This guy grinds the big one, the $100 to $300 hyper turbos. He bet this. He got 3-1 from some people. It sounds like, which always makes me think back to the quote from I think it's from Guys and Dolls. And it's, one of these days in your travels, a guy's going to show you a brand new deck of cards of which the seal is not yet broken. Then this guy's going to offer you a bet that you can make the Jack of Spades jump out and squirt cider in your ear. But son, do not accept this bet because as sure as you stand there, you're going to wind up with an ear full of cider.
That's a great quote.
It's a variation of, it's been made by, I think, Amarillo Slim as well.
Yeah, everybody loves that quote because it is... It's a silly thing that demonstrates a really important theorem of gambling, is that you never let somebody come up to you and say, I bet I can do X.
Yeah.
Because they can do X.
Otherwise,
they're not proposing this in the first place.
Right.
But it's fun. And in poker, obviously, it's not totally up to you. If the closer variance to the Jack of Spades is, let's say you meet this guy in the street and he's like 5'2", and he bets you he can dunk a basketball.
Yeah.
You should not bet against this guy.
Bet on him.
Even if it really looks like he can't dunk a basketball, because he's only proposing to bet if he can. Obviously, Big Hustler didn't necessarily know he for sure he could hit the 8.5% chip EV, but very very impressive that he did so, and obviously good news for the poker economy that the rake can be beat.
Yeah, and his graph is fairly steady. Like if you look at it, it's not like he banked a whole bunch of big ones or anything like that. He actually ran pretty bad when he hit a big prize pool. He won $11,000, excluding rake.
Right. So he won actual money from that. So
Jocelyn Wood wrote this story over at pokerfuse.com. Some quotes were, like I mentioned, he didn't run very good when the big prize pool.
Now I want to sort of say something about that because it says, he didn't perform too well, or you're saying he didn't run very good. But my theory, of course, and he'll talk about this too, is that people probably try harder when there's a lower multiplier too, right? So if you're a guy playing 12 tables, and you got that one that pops up as the big, 6 times whatever large multiplier, you're probably going to focus a little bit more on that one. So if you're playing against him, then you're stepping up your game. Whereas some people some people won't pay attention to the smaller ones. But if he's and he actually talks about this too. He says that it's important to play everyone equally importantly just as well, and that's the only way that you can actually do this. And so we don't know whether it's a run good thing or whether it's actually the fact that people try harder. It's just kind of artificial tough opponent selection when it gets big.
I wonder if some people don't perform as well too when they realize it's a big.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people probably playing within their bankroll for most reasonable amount. Obviously, the $1 million one and stuff like that would be exceptional. But I mean, would you play if you're normally a $20 sit and go player? Do you play that much worse when it's a $50 or $100?
Maybe
I'm not
play
sure.
more careful, I guess, would be a mistake.
Which
right?
would be a mistake exactly.
He also found that game theory optimal GTO play was not necessarily the best strategy when other players are weak. He adapted to create an exploitive strategy. which produced better results, he said.
I'm always skeptical when people say stuff like that because you know me. I've always, first of all, we don't know what people throw around the idea of GTO play as if this equilibrium actually exists and it's involved with people, and we know that it exists in limit hold'em, but it doesn't exist in three-way sit and goes as far as anybody knows, or at least as far as I know.
Gotcha. He is donating the winnings to children's charities, which I'm not sure if that was the winnings, the $11K that he won playing, or the prop bet winnings. The prop bet, but it did say that he was.
But some kids are getting some monies.
Kids
That's
are getting
never
some
bad
cash. In case you missed it, Daniel Negreanu wrote a blog about who he thinks should be banned from the World Series of Poker. Thankfully, Daniel's around to tell everybody.
Let us know. Yeah.
He starts out the blog saying that the rumor is that there's going to be some faces at the World Series of Poker this year that we haven't seen for a while. I'm not sure who he's referring to there, but we can guess, obviously. Daniel states that unless the person's been actively cheating at poker, and he doesn't add it, but I would say that should probably extend to live poker because this is a live event. I mean,
I disagree with that completely. I think if you are a proven cheater at poker, you shouldn't be allowed at a poker tournament. I mean, I think you can, as a tournament director, you can make that judgment call. That's it's like saying, "Oh, I've cheated at Hold'em, but I've never cheated at Omaha."
I understand what you're saying. So Justin Bonomo should never be allowed to play in the World Series of Poker, is what you're saying.
I mean, okay. So the thing about things that happened a long time ago. I mean, Justin's an exceptional case, I think, because he's shown penancies. He's behaved impeccably since that incident for 10 years. I think you can make a very strong case that he's kind of done his time. He was ostracized by the community when it happened. He was tremendously apologetic about it, and I don't think you would get that from a Russ Hamilton. And fundamentally, no point.
Oh, Russ Hamilton is different.
We're talking about Russ Hamilton here.
Oh,
right?
I'm not. When I say cheating on, absolutely, I don't want to see Russ Hamilton at any kind of event. What I'm saying is guys that are accused of cheating online. He's multi-counting for sure. Guy Liliberte is multi-counting.
Well,
David Benjamin.
Accused is different from we know that this happened.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
I mean...
Yeah, true enough. Anyway, so Daniel feels that anybody actively caught cheating in poker should not be allowed to attend. You say he's talking about Russ Hamilton in that spot. It's almost like that's theft. Is it cheating in poker or just like
well, it's
straight
cheating.
up?
I mean, it's cheating. Like, how would you feel about Darren Woods? Right? We talked about Darren Woods. And this is a case where it's close to proof. I mean, we actually had this in a real court, not just a poker site, right? Like, would you if you ran the World Series, would you let Darren Wood play?
No. So I agree with you there. Here's a guy who's been convicted of crimes, while playing poker. So no, I wouldn't let Darren Woods play. I think if you set a standard that high, then you're okay. But if you have this other sort of murky, he's cheating online, well, you're going to run into all kinds of gray
I'm not
area.
talking about rumor. I'm talking about confirmed incidents. And we know Russ Hamilton did this. We know beyond any reasonable shadow of doubt. And same with Darren Woods.
Yeah, we know Patrick Antonius has multi-counted. For sure we know that.
Yeah, I mean, that's tougher. I mean, that's
my point. That's where we run into all these issues.
Yeah.
I think if you have guys like Darren Woods, and he's the only one really that I can think of that's been convicted and charged.
There's those French guys as well.
Oh, the Techmanic or whatever. Yeah, the guy who cheated with the
but that's
media
live
guys.
Poker,
the live guys. Absolutely,
poker.
There's one. Yeah, for sure. So we've got those. But you open up
we've
a door.
We've got the Borgata chip guys too.
Yeah.
When you're talking about live poker, the counterfeit chips and all that kind of stuff. And then even somebody like if you talk about Men the Master,
right?
That's always been a case where nobody's ever caught.
No,
for sure, Men the Master cheating. There's always been the Foxwood stories about chips in his hotel room. That was never 100% confirmed.
No.
But everybody's always felt that Men the Master has passed chips among his teammates in poker tournaments. Is that sufficient to ban somebody from the World Series? And probably not.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
As much as I dislike the guy, I don't think he at all should be banned. To go on with Daniel's stuff, he says any person. Well, you made the point that he was talking about Russ Hamilton.
Right.
Russ Hamilton and Mansur Matlubi are the two guys that he feels that should be banned for life. These are the guys that obviously were involved in the Ultimate Bet cheating scandal. Now this. Again, if I almost don't even count it as poker. I mean, this is just basically like them going in and stealing out of accounts. I guess they played poker with accounts to do it, but I guess it's cheating. So those are the two that he feels.
I mean, that's cheating, right? It's functionally the online equivalent of marking the cards, right?
Exactly. It's a good point. He says Chris Ferguson, Annie Duke, and Jeffrey Pollock should not be banned. Chris Ferguson, of course, was involved in the Full Tilt Poker. He was running the site. Annie Duke, who he's had a bad relationship with for a long time. So he's suggesting that she should be allowed to play. And Jeffrey Pollock, Annie Duke and Jeffrey Pollock, who ran the Epic Poker League, that of course promised a big guaranteed tournament that never came through, and players paid a lot of money to play in those events, and she took a salary, et cetera, and had no problem with that. But anyway, Daniel feels that she should not be banned. I agree. I don't think those three people should be banned. Again, as much as I dislike Annie, I don't think you can come up with a real good case for banning her.
No.
Howard. He also comes to Howard's defense a little bit.
And how much must that pain him to say that Howard should be allowed to play?
Yeah, and I think maybe this is who he's talking about when he says there's rumors.
It seems most likely that he out of all of this group that he would be the guy to show up.
And I wonder if this is Daniel's way of really kind of smoothing things over so there's no big confrontation. Because you think back, Daniel said somebody should take a bat to his knees or whatever words to that effect, right? So, to avoid, some sort of bad situation, maybe he's saying this and coming out and giving his views on that. I don't know. I don't. Again, I don't. I think there's two guys, and maybe the people that we talked about that were convicted.
Right. If running a business poorly, even if it costs poker players money, even doing unethical things, like, listen, if we banned everybody who's ever done unethical things in business, poker tournaments are going to be a lot smaller. I mean, you're talking about, like, if you take a look at, your average, like, big buy-in poker game in Los Angeles or something, and you say, like, you have to remove everybody from that room who's ever been involved in unethical business practices. You're gonna, like, the commerce would be like a ghost town. So obviously you just can't, say that. But obviously it's affected disproportionately poker players. The things that Howard did, and all the stuff that was involved with Full Tilt. But he didn't cheat at poker. He didn't set out to steal money from poker players. I don't think that's the case. I don't think you'll find too many people who think that Howard's this really unethical guy who set out to steal money. He's just...
It'd be hard to make a case
that
he did that.
He just did a poor job.
He didn't set out to do it, but at the end of the day, he was happy, or not happy. He was okay to take the money and not pay it back.
Right, but again, how many people who play the World Series owe people money in the poker community? Lots of people are deadbeats.
They didn't take it, though. I would say 99% of them didn't go into accounts and transfer to their account.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess there is that extra level of that. But no, I have to agree. I can't see a real case for banning Howard from the World Series. But if you were Howard, would you actually show up? I mean, I feel like I wouldn't.
Apparently, he's been around the Bellagio.
Yeah, he's been playing.
But that's different. It feels like a little different because you can just be in your room and nobody's really gonna. You're not gonna play with a random group like in a World Series. You're gonna get a random seat draw. You don't know who you're gonna get at a random.
People are not gonna. And people are. It's easy to go after.
Just
Howard.
take a shot at him. Exactly.
Yeah. It's hard to go after Annie Duke. It's easy to go after Howard if you're sitting down with her.
Right.
And him, so he's going to take. If it is him, he'll.
It's going to be a lot of abuse.
Yeah, he'll.
Just to take one step back, you were talking about the Borgata chick, the guy who hustled chips into the tournament,
flushed him down the toilet.
Yeah, a story just popped up yesterday that the guy's his sentencing has been pushed back to March 30th.
I wonder what he's going to get.
Christian Lusardi.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to get serious jail time for that.
Apparently, they're trying to. Let go of the poker charges because he has other charges for pirating DVDs.
That's what they're going after.
Apparently, it's a more serious federal charge.
Wow, movie industry, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So this guy sounds like a class act.
In case you missed it, a Las Vegas burglar has hit high-value targets, including poker player Kerry Katz, who is worth a big
bunch of money.
I
think Maury Escandandi was on that list as well. But,
wow.
I just kind of came across this before we started recording this show, but it's another like this guy, Brandon Birdsong, by the way, is his name.
The thief?
I like the name. Birdsong is the name of the thief. A lot of that, it says 130,000 from Maury Escandandi, 211,000 from Kerry Katz, some executives at the UFC actually I think were hit. So he's admitted all of this. He went to the detectives and pulled out a map of Las Vegas and say, I went here, I was here, and I mean he just said he's admitting to everything fully. So it's definitely an interesting case because obviously as poker players, a lot of times if you're a well-known poker player, your results are published, whether it's Hendon Mob or whether it's High Stakes DB or whether people just know, right? Yeah. Like you hang around poker and like somebody might point out Dan Coleman and like, hey, I saw that guy win $15 million on TV and we've won $4 million tournaments. So we've talked a little on this show about sort of prepping for the World Series, and we talked with JC last week about exercise and supplements. We've talked on previous shows about where to stay and all that stuff. Don't neglect your security, right? Because chances are, if you're playing the World Series, you're walking around with what to normal people consider a substantial amount of money, and then certainly to petty criminals would be a ton of money. You're sort of a walking gold mine. Any given person, if you're walking out of the real poker room, they don't know if that guy's got $30 on him or $30,000 on him. So just kind of a reminder out there. I thought to be careful. I'm always super security paranoid and stuff like that. I make sure if I'm walking, if I've got any kind of reasonable amount of money on me, I'm usually with people and all that kind of stuff. So
do a couple laps around your house just to make sure nobody's following you.
That
kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Shake a tail.
Yeah.
All right, that's in case you missed it for the week. Why don't we do our 140 or less? Why don't we do our 140
characters? That's it. I love hashtags. I love all of them.
Terrence Chan
needs more than 140 characters to express itself.
140 or less.
Loving the interest. Joseph Chong at Joe Chong. I can't remember. I don't have.
I think he's Sublime.
Oh, that's
probably
Sublime. Why is there so much pee on the ground in front of urinals? Some guys must just stand there and aim straight down at their feet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially when you're around poker tournaments, it's probably even worse because everybody goes pee at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're just getting that like accumulation of your. So I don't think any one man is probably responsible for all of it. Right?
No, it's dribbles.
It's probably.
Here's my point. Yeah. Why don't how urinals are shaped? There's a little sort of area that comes out where you hang your junk over.
Yeah.
Why isn't that area much longer?
Yeah,
that would stop the drips.
But I think people would just stand farther back if that happened. Because I think the idea is you don't want any danger of first your junk touching the urinal because that's terrible.
That's cold.
But you also don't want exactly bacteria concerns and just it's unpleasant. And they're also probably avoiding splashback.
Yeah,
right. But I like those urinals that they've kind of got the shield on the back, so
shield's good.
Positive stream
or ice. I love ice. Because you can melt the ice.
Yeah, that's always a fun one. That's always fun.
I write my name,
Yeah, try and write your name.
Oddly enough, I was in Macau.
I was just going to tell him about the go.
And I went to the washroom.
Yeah.
And I was just playing cash games, so there wasn't like a big line in this washroom or anything. Yeah. So it was just me and this other guy. And I was peeing in the urinal, and he was peeing in the garbage can.
Was there another urinal?
Yeah, there's like 20 urinals.
He's got to go in the can.
And it was almost like he was sending a message to the casino. Like, you can have all my money, but I'm going to piss in your garbage can.
Yeah.
No, it was it was a concerted effort to do it.
It's not a good message, though.
He's sending a message to a guy who makes $3 an hour cleaning that shit up.
I don't know what his message is. His message is, I pee where I want, I guess.
Every time I went to the public washroom at the casino in Macau, there was always some dude smoking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, when I went,
puffing away with hand on his junk and just a cigarette hanging out of the mouth.
The one that I noticed in Macau was it's just a hole in the floor. It's built into the floor.
You had the commode.
Yeah, it's floor level.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Is that what it's called? Commode?
I guess. I think.
I don't know.
I think that's what a commode.
That's funky because they're splashing all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, you have to do that. Well, in Japan, you do number 2 in that as well.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So you
a lot
gotta
of Asian
squat?
countries.
There-
Yeah, a lot of Asian
there's
countries.
no sitting down.
So you're doing the
Squatting.
you're working the
It's
thighs.
better for you. It's better for you, by the way. You know?
Well,
it really is.
yeah,
It's
I've
better
seen
for your
that. Yeah.
digestive system.
Yeah. Sitting is like the worst position.
Yeah, exactly, because you're squeezing.
All right, moving on. All right, Jimmy Fricky. Social media has become a contest about who can post the most shitty, profound statements that have nothing to do with anything, which sounded like pissed off Jimmy or something.
Also,
It's
a bit
ironic.
meta. It's a bit. Yes, I was going to say it's ironic because I feel like
That's what he's trying to do.
A profound statement. So it's like this iterative loop of profound statements above profound statements.
It's like a mirror into a mirror into a mirror.
Exactly.
I love
Jimmy.
Gabo. Matt Stout, never more than a week away from feeling invincible / completely incompetent in this fucking game, which I thought was a profound, not a shitty profound statement,
No,
an
it's
actual
true.
profound
Well,
statement.
So I'm sort of two minds about this because one, we've all been there, right? So we know exactly what Matt's talking about. We've all had God mode, and then we've all had the oh my God, every decision is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, on the other hand, Matt Stout's been playing poker for a really long time, and I sort of feel like one of the key skills, of course, is sort of divorcing your results from, your short-term results from your mental state and all that kind of stuff. But it goes to show how tough it is to be a poker player long-term.
What I'll say is results. He might not be talking about results though, because you can be playing a hand and just go, "Holy fuck, I'm terrible."
Did
at
I
poker.
screw that up?
Not independent of I won, even
or
won
I
the
was
hand
wrong or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like, what was I doing? Like, I'm terrible.
Yeah,
I've had that constantly, all the time.
Yeah, I had a big one the other day like that.
Oh, tell
yeah,
me.
yeah. No, I just completely butchered a hand, and I was just thinking, like, this guy's terrible, but I actually played worse. I'm worse than this guy. Who I'm
possible.
like, I'm here to hustle him, but I'm worse than him.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? I should go home and
playing down to the level of your opponent.
I feel like that's a good thing to realize, though, or not realize, but think, because if you just think, "Oh, this guy's horrible, he got lucky,"
right?
And you don't.
You have to have some self-awareness to realize that it's you. It's not
it
always them.
It was just like 100% me. It was only 3-handed, so I mean.
Yeah. What did I do there?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Daniel Anderson, Demon
I didn't
Girl.
sleep.
Playing OFC with the hubby. Loser has to have his or her radio tuned to Christian radio station for 2 weeks straight. Highest stakes I've ever played.
Those are high stakes. Christian radio, like Christian radio, always gets me when I'm like traveling and I'm on a road trip and I'm driving through some random
the presets
because you don't know because you don't you're in Boise or whatever and you don't know the radio station, so you're driving along and then you get a song, the song's kind of catchy, you're listening to it, and then the chorus comes on, it's like, "We love Jesus," and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is what I'm listening to." It's always a trap, right? Because there are some like Christian songs that just kind of sound like normal songs, and
like there's Christian rock bands,
exactly.
heavy metal bands,
and it gets you right because you're getting into the song, and then they get you with the God stuff.
They hit you with the God.
Wow, wait, skip, whatever. Yeah,
I have a Christian radio story. There was a guy that went to the school that I did, and he got a job as a Christian radio host, but he was by no means Christian, and. He's
a radio host?
Yeah, he was a host.
And he's not Christian?
Yeah. They just hired him because he
They didn't go, "Are you Christian?"
Yeah, I guess that's not part of the interview. I don't know. Well, maybe the people that own the state, maybe it's all a racket.
Who knows?
But anyway, so this guy, he put it to a Christian song and left his mic on and answered the phone, and it was his buddy, and he's like, "How about those fucking Canucks, eh? They shit the bed."
Are you serious?
He can hear it all over the song, and that man no longer has a job. He's a server at White Spot now, apparently.
That might be a better job, actually. That's a union gig, those White Spot gigs. It's kind of on this topic. The CIA this week, I don't know if you guys saw this, they declassified, I don't know if it's this week or somebody just printed it this week. They declassified the list of songs used to torture in the Middle East. You know, when they crank up the tunes in Guantanamo, wherever they are, they pump the tunes in 24/7. They crank it really loud. This is sort of one of the versions of torturing people. I guess maybe bad taste to joke about this, but the songs I found amusing to talk about.
All right.
One of them, can you guess any of them?
Oh, jeez. So I've never been like one of these guys who's really snobby about music, and I was like, I never listen to that because I've always sort of felt like, if you don't like a song, change the station or whatever. But gee, so I'm a guy. I've grown up in the Middle East, and
what song?
What American? I'm guessing these are all American kind of Western songs. I don't know. It was probably something like just because we talked about her when we were in like Carly Rae Jepsen or something like that. That would
Call Me Maybe.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Was that on the list?
Good mission, girl. No, that is not on the list.
Springsteen, maybe Born in the USA.
Born in the USA would be a good one.
Good, yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, that's good.
No, Barney, I Love You song. I love you.
Oh,
can you imagine 24 hours of the Barney song?
I don't know if I would be evil enough as the torture guy
to do that.
To be able to do that to another human
extreme.
being. That is.
Oh my God!
How about this?
Gold.
Very nice.
Saturday Night Fever.
Wow.
Which surprised me.
Yeah.
Decent tune.
I guess they don't like that.
The Meow Mix theme. Meow, 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 meow.
That's up there, yeah.
Brutal.
I don't even think of some of these as songs, right? Because you don't even think of the Barmy song as a song.
It's
like
noise.
Yeah.
Enter Sandman, Metallica.
Oh, yeah.
I love that song.
I actually heard that. I've seen it played in a documentary or something.
Oh, really?
Like
They
that.
just pound it out. And the Sesame Street theme.
Okay.
On my way. Oh, yeah. I mean,
I would.
Okay
I'd take that one over the rest of the list, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't mind the Sesame Street.
You listen to one song any
loud and 24
too many
hours
times.
straight.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Annoying.
It could be your favorite song, of course.
Except the Frozen song.
Cold never bothered me anyway. Yeah,
very nice.
Good. So let's bring in the man known to his wife as the Big Red Spade, Mr. Lee Jones. Welcome to the Pokercast, sir.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Pretty good, pretty good. You heard us whispering the theme from Frozen there?
Yeah, that was impressive. And I wanted to ask, when does the music that you put into the show get added, and who picks it?
It's in post, and that's a good question, actually, for those people out there. It used to be MJ. Of course, he's the musically inclined person. I'm not up on the 1-month-old bands that MJ does. He knows every breaking band that's out there and provided a lot of great music for people for a long time. I'm the staple. I go to my staples, the stuff I love. Ross is cutting edge rap. He's a rapper, so that's his thing.
When I have been choosing the music, I've tried to think as MJ.
You've tried.
So I've tried to channel what would MJ like, and then I put that into the show.
But can I put in a request since I'm on the show today?
Sure.
Okay, a Swedish band called Vasen, Vasen.
Okay.
Vasen.
Any specific song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Flippin', Flippen, which is a perfect name for a poker show.
Vasen Flippin'.
I love it.
Yes.
All right, so in post, we'll put that song off the top of this segment just for you.
Oh, you know what? That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would love.
Well, chronologically, it'll make it sound like he requested it before, like we just read his mind, and then he requested it.
I shouldn't have said that.
You could have just said,
I blew it.
as it turns out,
We already
that's
had that.
exactly the song that we wanted to intro this segment.
What are the odds?
It's got to be 1,000,000 to 1.
Too
But
funny.
no, you've ruined it. So Lee, not to take away from the musical tangent, but what if I were to tell you that one of your former coworkers and mine is in studio with us this week? Give me
Former. The key word being former there?
Yeah, exactly. I'm giving him a little help. Why don't you take a stab at who's joining us in the lovely Vancouver studios?
Pokercast Studios.
Let's see here. Former coworker.
Yes.
Is it the libertarian poker playing MMA fighter Terrence Chen?
Well, that would be
That's the one talking to you.
that would be it. But yet another one.
I like how you're going one. You made sure you were going to go one for one.
Right. It's like the Axis powers. They always get Germany, right?
Right. Yeah. Now you got to get the other one. He was.
You mean there's yet another person?
We have yet another one.
He's been silent and he's been very disciplined. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jeffrey Haas.
No, not Jeffrey Odds. Think more South America.
South America. Oh my God! Not. It isn't the Thomas Cool.
Hey, ding, 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 ding. We got that one. Thomas is here. Say hi to Lee.
I'm surprised, Lee, you got that because I should have said Central America.
Central, that's right, yeah.
I gave you all of this.
Adam's never been the
The
geography.
wrong American.
To them, it's all the same. It's like it's south of like Washington and Idaho, so it must be like South America.
Yes, my geography is terrible. Sorry, boys. But anyway,
North European.
Yeah, that's right. Lee, let's get to we talked earlier in the show about an open letter that Katie Dozer sent to PokerStars, talking about some of the women's issues, the women's tournaments and such. The initiative that PokerStars started a couple of years ago, I want to say. Can you give us maybe your take on her blog?
Well, yeah, and I read Katie's blog, and I don't think it's such a huge deal. I mean, certainly, I think basically everybody in poker thinks it would be cool if there were more women in poker, and we've really continued to put out things there that we think women will be attracted to, but what we're discovering is the women like the open events.
Okay,
and so there's really, I mean, as we look at the statistics for the number of women in the open events, they're actually growing. And from talking to some of the people, we just got, because I actually spoke to Joanne Bartley, who heads up the women's initiative for PokerStars. She has been heading it up, and she said, look, this is not that we don't like women playing, but this is, it just seems to be a thing that is becoming more organic in the online space. I think live, everybody agrees that we need to do more about making it a...
Hello. What is wrong with you two?
Sorry, Lee, that's my phone. That won't happen again. Sorry, continue.
It's amateur hour here.
Did I call you guys journalists at some point?
Yeah, see, wrong, incorrect.
But anyway, yeah, the thing is that it seems we seem to be getting organic growth of women participating in online events, and I think a lot of the barriers that exist for women in live events just don't exist online, and that's what our data is showing us. So you don't see quite as much overt marketing to women in the online space. We as I said, we're still doing the live events, and just kind of personally speaking, anybody who says there's not sexism and a sometimes misogynistic environment in live events just isn't opening their eyes.
Yeah.
But online, much of that goes away. And we've also run into some situations where guys are just, ticking the box that says, yeah, I'm female, because they feel that they're going to get a softer field. And, there's some real issues of that in the online space.
Yeah.
But with that said, we actually have been discussing Katie's blog, and we had a meeting this morning of basically a whole bunch of people that are involved in this kind of stuff. And I think something's going to come out of it. Rebecca McAdam, who works for PokerStars, is good friends with Katie. I think they're going to talk. They may do a series of blogs, kind of just getting a conversation going about general ideas about how can we make poker more attractive to women. Because no matter what I think any of us say, the one thing that we all agree on is that if we got women in anything approaching a balanced population with the men in the game, we would, we would just see another poker boom that might make 2003 look boring.
No question, Lee. And it's I guess Katie's blog sort of speaks to two issues. One is the specific 9th anniversary Sunday Million, and then sort of the general idea. And it's I suppose it's important to separate the two. You know, we had Matthew Hilger, your colleague, on last week talking about why the move was made, because March 8th is International Women's Day, and now, so I guess Katie's specific issue that maybe you want to address here is that now it's being moved to a day that's Mother's Day throughout the United Kingdom, and so it kind of seems like a lose-lose situation. Just given
well, Sundays are always tough. Somewhere around the world, something's going on. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And and it is interesting because I really wasn't that aware of International Women's Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out to be a very, very big deal, and because I live in the UK. The Mother's Day thing sort of looks big, but we actually looked at the numbers of people that would be impacted, and it's not even close. I mean, weirdly,
versus
we're talking
UK
about
versus
order
the
of
world,
magnitude difference. Yeah, basically, if you go east of essentially the whole former Soviet bloc, Russia, China, all that area. International Women's Day is a very, very big deal. As a matter of fact, I was in Malta last week, and there was a huge sign up on the sea prom in Malta for some massive event celebrating International Women's Day. So it is a very big deal elsewhere in the world, and as you say, you're gonna conflict with something somewhere. I mean, as a matter of fact, I think we went in later. We're going to be running into Easter, weren't we? I understand that it's actually big in some parts of the world. So yeah, it was a somewhat mathematical decision, if you will.
Yeah, it's interesting, Lee, because, throwing your hands up in the air and, and not, sorry, I don't mean you, but in general, the poker community, and saying, you know what, we've tried with to do this. We've done several things. Nothing seems to really be working too well. We've done all we can do, and that sort of does a bit of a disservice, because it excuses a lot of the things that make it difficult for women to come and play poker, I think, and things like you were talking about earlier, how people react and treat people, different people, not just women but other people as well. So it's one of those. It's a thing that you can't kind of give up on or anything, and because of the huge pool there as well. But it's also quite difficult, and there's no real solution yet.
Right, and I think that's perhaps what Rebecca and Katie may be working on, is to get a conversation going. Because I promise you, if somebody out there, and I don't care whether they're black, white, male, female, rich, poor, straight, gay, I don't care. If somebody has an idea that says, here's how you can reach poker stars, a grossly underrepresented population in the poker community, we're listening.
Sure. Yep. Well, you guys go to great lengths to reach very, very small pockets of people that haven't been, mined, so to speak, for the poker experience, and here you have, 47% of the population or whatever it is. So, you would hope that at some point down the line we find something that will help. But lost in all of this a little bit is the fact that we do have this $9 million prize pool, Sunday Million, coming up now, March 15th. First prize, at least $1 million to the winner.
Yeah, and it really is funny, as you say, kind of lost in this little mini drama. $9 million.
Yeah, big
and
one.
With Terrence and Thomas sitting there, these, we remember. It's like, okay, we're gonna go for $500,000 in the guarantee on Sunday, and it's like, well, I hope we all get paid next week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. I mean, we're getting into heights that are fantastic for poker as well. We also had Stapes on earlier in the show. The Shark Cage coming up again at Monte Carlo. Now, how do people qualify for these things?
Right. So there are satellites running, but only through this coming Sunday.
Okay.
So we really this is your last shot to get into the qualifier in Monte Carlo, and so this is a big chance, and there's $1 million out there. So, like, like your equity if you get that seat is like on the order of what, $30,000 just right out of the chute or something. I mean, it's a big number.
No question. Depends what donks you get put at the at the table with, I guess.
Yeah, no kidding, right? But after watching the Sarah Shefak
of course
bluff, you never know who's going to be the tough players at the table, right?
Yeah, no question. We've got.
But anyway, everybody go, and I think a lot of people that I've talked to that are not poker serious people really enjoy Shark Cage. I don't know. Like, I think a lot of serious pokers have kind of differing views about it. Although I'll tell you what, man, it has sold me on the shot clock.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shot clock's awesome. Not only that,
fists in the air.
I've been preaching shot clocks for forever, but yes, thank you. I'm so glad that it can be done, and yeah, it makes poker so much more fun. Especially, you just mentioned Sarah Shefak. It's hard to think about how that particular hand might have played out without one.
Right.
Yep.
It is, and it really did add to, Ronnie Barta, constantly throwing out his little chits saying, I need another 30 seconds, right? Like that's what we need. And there's so many times when I'm doing the EPT webcast or whatever, and you see somebody in the tank for 3 minutes, and, poor Joe Stapleton is trying to come up with 26 different jokes.
You want to call the clock on him.
Yeah, believe me, we will sit there in the booth and we have called 18 clocks on the guy, silently. So it is. I am all about the shot clock, and I don't know if it's a silver bullet in the sense of you put in a 30-second shot clock and your problem is solved. But by God, it is got. I am ready. It is the first step, and then we can tweak it from there, right? But what we have now is just grossly broken. It will never properly translate into entertainment that people are interested in. So if things like the Shark Cage, experiment with these kinds of things, then we'll take the good ideas that come out of it and then carry them back to the day-to-day stuff.
Lee, is there some data on how popular the Shark Cage is versus the big game? I think back to the big game. That was my favorite format. Not that I don't like the Shark Cage. I like the bluff thing at the end and the value cards and everything. But the big game was a lot of fun. And do you have some sort of at all kind of data on how that's doing?
I'm sure that people do. I don't have it.
Gotcha.
And the other thing, of course, is that it'd be difficult to compare apples to apples because it's you're talking about big game. You're talking about what, 06, 07, 08.
True enough. Yeah.
So it's a very different landscape. And I don't even know whether that landscape is better or worse, but it's substantially different. I do know, I just saw the report from the webcast at PCA, and it came very near to being the biggest one ever. It came a very close second to Barcelona, which was the biggest one we've ever done. So there is definitely an appetite for, poker on the web, and whether Shark Cage is going to be a big hit or, kind of an ongoing thing, we'll just have to see. But, like Terrence said, if we get nothing else out of the Shark Cage, then wow, look, shot clocks really work. It was worth however many hundreds of thousands of dollars we spent on the production.
Agreed. Yeah. We talk a lot about the World Series of Poker expanding, moving close to 70 events this year. 69 events at EPT Malta. There's a pretty big schedule packed into 11 days there in Malta.
Look, Neil Johnson is just out of control. That's all there is to it. But you need some people in the company that are just out of control. They're just like the Tasmanian devil or something, and you just let them loose for a couple of weeks, and then they just go berserk, and then they come back and they said, right, I'm going to do 69 events, and we say, super, fire them up. I have not been to the Portomasso Casino. However, I took my first trip to Malta last week, and that is an amazing place. And you have to, I know geography is not necessarily your super strong suit there, but
Malta's in Europe, by the way, Adam. Just
Malta is. Come on, you guys.
But go look at where Malta is geographically.
Yeah, it's just near Russia, right? It's in the Black Sea or something? It's in the Black Sea.
It's actually in the Mediterranean.
Oh, sorry.
But the thing that's amazing is that it basically sits at the hub of civilization. And so you have Libya. I mean, Libya is like a hop to the south. You have Sicily, a jump to the north, and you have the Middle East, a skip to the east. And all of those cultural cross currents just come colliding at Malta. And so the food, the culture, the people, the architecture, all of it is just off the hook in terms of its diversity and its age. I mean, there's like 4,000-year-old or 6,000-year-old settlements there, 4,000 BC. So it's a crazy place. And I think I'm really expecting the EPT there to just blow everybody out. I think they're going to be astonished.
And the next event after that will be EPT Tripoli, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then it'll be EPT Tripoli, which, should be interesting in every respect. If you thought Berlin was interesting, wait.
Yeah, you might have a bit of an issue there with the final table cash situation.
Also, on the topic of Malta, if you ever have about 3 hours to kill, you could. Mike Haxton on Joe Rogan talked, I think, a lot about living in Malta and how much he enjoys that. Ike Haxton has good taste in cities, by the way. Vancouver, Hong Kong,
and Malta.
Yeah. I'm going to say that I'm down with what he believes.
Oh, and by the way, Terrence, with you listening, on Sunday, I ran a personal best in the half marathon on Malta.
All right, nice.
You time it by the calendar, or was this by watch?
Wow. How does you run any marathons?
It was an official event sponsored by Vodafone. And, I mean, that was the official time and everything. I will tell you, though, that every single person I talked to on the street that I, recognized as a runner from the event had done a personal best, too. And that's because you started at Medina at the top of the hill, and you do this long, gently winding down run down to the harbor. It's epic. So if you feel like running a personal best in a half marathon or a marathon, because you do both, get you over to Malta.
Or just take a cab like Rosie Rees did in Boston. Hop in a cab and meet you at the finish line.
Wasn't there an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, too?
Was it? Probably stole the idea. British Poker Awards were last week, Lee. We saw PokerStars take down a couple of them, Daniel Negreanu, Jake Cody, and Toby Stone.
Well, the one Jake Cody in the blog category, I'm embarrassed. I didn't even know that Jake blogged. So
it's not a good sign.
I know. I need to go read his blog because I think Jake Cody is like one of the sweetest guys in the business. I really enjoy him. So I literally didn't know he was a writer. So I need to go check that out. And Toby Stone, I'm just so tickled by that because those guys just don't get recognized enough. And they are the oil that make the machine work, right? Without the tournament directors and their teams, none of that stuff happens.
Right.
And they do it in such a way that they're virtually invisible, which means that the thing is running really smoothly, right? You don't even know that they're there, but this tournament just happens just exactly the way you want it to. And in a lot of ways, as a matter of fact, Toby acknowledged that in a little blurb he had in the press release, but he basically said, look, this is really an award for everybody on my team. And realistically, I think it's a proxy for all the people on the PokerStars tours that just do an absurd job they work ridiculous, obscene hours. But as you guys have all seen live and in person multiple times, the result is an absolutely seamless experience for the players, which is really the goal of the whole thing, right?
Indeed, Toby Stone, the tournament director for PokerStars, for EPT, for PokerStars, the whole thing.
He is a PokerStars employee, but he does mostly the EPT. He does some of the regional events. He lives in Barcelona.
That's a good place.
And this is not easy to say, but I'm gonna call him out as the best dressed tournament director on the PokerStars tours.
Wait a second. Have you on the PokerStars tour? I was going to say, have you not seen Mr. Matt Savage's same suit he wears every final table? It's okay. He doesn't listen to the show. Don't worry.
If Matt Savage, if you're listening, no, but Toby, the thing is that he Thomas Lamache is also a very sharp dresser. And Edgar Stuchley is no mean sartorial guy either. But I'm going to go with Toby as the best dressed tournament director in the business. So there you go.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated, and we will hope to talk to you soon.
It's great talking with you guys. Terrence, Thomas, great to hear from you too.
Talk to you later.
# team shot clock.
Thanks, Lee.
Bye now.
Let's get to our favorite things.
Okay.
I say, let's get to our favorite things.
This is... Let me intro the intro first a little bit. I forced my girlfriend to sing with me for this.
Oh my!
So you might love it, you might hate it. I don't know.
I love it already.
Back to the Adam Rap days.
Love it.
Photographs and movies and NPR podcasts. Love catching fishes and check raising rivers. We have great taste, so listen to our choices. These are a few of our favorite things.
Okay.
Kidding me right now?
Okay.
Was that inspired by Lady Gaga?
That was his girlfriend.
It's inspired by Sound of Music.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. Or maybe a fade out at the end.
Yeah,
it ends pretty harshly. But other than that, my favorite thing this week, and I've subjected everybody around me to this for a while now, is Jimmy. These videos on the Jimmy Kimmel Show does the Roots. And their musical guests will do their signature song of the guest with children's instruments, xylophones, the banana shake, the kazoo, everything. The Roots are great, and some of the songs I wouldn't listen to ever, like the Frozen song. I don't ever listen to. It's just like, oh god, the Frozen song's not good. But I watched Jimmy Kimmel do it with the Roots and the children's instruments and Menzel, and it's unbelievable. Her voice, it's just a way better version. There's a whole bunch of them. I think there's 6 or 7 that are all fun to watch. Carly Jepsen does "Call Me Maybe," another song I can't stand, but it's great in that format. So these are a few of my favorite things this week. Is Jimmy Kimmel and the Roots doing children's instrument songs.
Okay. So for this week, I don't have. Usually, I have a media thing or a piece of software, but I'll just sort of talk about the different approach I've been taking to strength training lately, which is basically that.
This is exactly what I need.
Yes. So, and this is exactly what I think a lot of people need because it's not that hard. So it's inspired by this book called Easy Strength by Dan John. And so the basic idea is that most people, they go to the gym, they do their 3 sets of 10 or whatever, and they're tired and they're sore for the next 5 days because they don't normally lift out. Yeah, exactly. They can't walk up a flight of stairs if they did leg day, and they can't lift a jar of peanut butter out of the fridge if it's been arm day. So basically, the way I've been working out is I've been doing 3 sets of 3 reps with very long rest intervals and very heavy weights, so 90% of my maximum, and that's been working out really well for me. I can never sore. I'm able finally to lift weights and still go to boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, whatever it is. The key is kind of keeping the reps really low and keeping the rest period really long. And you don't really get that fatigue. You don't get that next day shit. I've been hitting personal records all over the place lately, and I've never been the strongest guy, but I'm able to do this now. I did a strength training assessment with my friend who's doing a PhD program. My numbers were just off the chart for me personally, and I'm doing well relative to the group. So just want to share that out there. I can talk about that on the forum if that's something people are interested in. But check out Easy Strength by Dan John.
That's not a last name. Those are 2 first names right there.
That's my understanding of how that works too. But
so it's 3 reps of 3.
Yeah, 3 reps, 3. The general rule is like less than 10 total reps. So like 2 by 5, 3 by 3, 5 by 2. Those all add up to 10 or less. But
get my pencil out.
Long breaks in between. Yes, exactly. I was told there'd be no math on this show. But yeah, and you're taking long breaks in between. It almost seems too easy to actually get better. But you are lifting very heavy. 85, 90% of like the most that you can do, and the numbers just keep going up for me. And I'm waiting for it to stop working, but it hasn't stopped yet.
Plateau.
Nice.
Yeah. Roscoe, favorite thing?
Yeah, I've got more comedy this week. Well, not stand-up, but from a stand-up comedian. Do you guys know Jim Jeffries?
Of course.
Yeah,
the raunchy Australian.
Yeah, the very raunchy Australian.
Did you see his thing on gun control?
That's been going around. I saw it on everybody's Facebook, but I never actually saw it.
Yeah, that's great.
He's got a funny take on things, and his show is called Legit, and I acquired my subscription to that Show Me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's quite good.
Cool.
It's like a version of Canadian Netflix. I don't know. It's probably not relevant to people who don't live here. So, yeah, this Legit show, not only available on Show Me, is Jim Jeffries' like Louis type show. It's like Louis C.K.'s show.
Oh, okay.
It's like incorporates his stand-up bits into like a live action show with characters, and it's really funny. I watched the entire thing yesterday while I was grinding.
I've seen the first, I think, 3 episodes, but I definitely liked the first episode. I think the first episode's where he takes the kid to the brothel. Is that episode 1?
He takes a kid in a wheelchair to
just
a brothel.
to set the stage.
I gotta hear this.
Going on.
What happens?
Well, this kid's he's
where are
got
they?
like a terminal illness, and he's never been laid, and they're in LA.
They're in LA?
Yeah. And my favorite scene was one I watched yesterday, where he's getting a ride home from an audition with some girl. They just met that day, and she calls her mom before he gets in the car, and she says, "Hey, I'm giving a stranger a ride. If you don't hear back from me in an hour, call the police. His name is Jim Jeffries. If he rapes me or kills me, like his name is Jim Jeffries."
What? And
So
they have that on camera?
Well, it's not a real. It's not a documentary. It's
a
show.
it's a joke.
So he's in the car, and it shows
thought it was real.
It shows them driving down the highway, and it looks like they haven't said anything in a while. And Jim Jeffries just looks at her and says, "You're making this rape really awkward." She freaks out, and
all right,
hilarity ensues.
Nice.
I watched that the first episode. It's actually on Netflix.
It's on
as
Netflix.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh, Netflix Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of things are leaving networks. Netflix is I don't know if they have a queue, but if you search on Google, there's a bunch of stuff leaving Netflix this month. So if you haven't,
clear out what's on your list for February.
Yeah, exactly. Check out what won't be around anymore.
What about Thomas? Did he have a thing?
I thought we were.
Oh, do you want to? Oh, sure. Okay.
Can I share as well? Or
Yeah. What do you got, Thomas?
It's a graphic novel called Seconds.
So it's a picture book. It's a comic book.
That's what I said
called it
on
a
the
comic.
drive here.
If it's a comic,
if it's got like panels and
I love it.
People with cartoon bubbles, it seems like a comic book.
Like
but
Calvin and Hobbes.
It's a graphic novel.
Oh,
yeah, called Seconds from Brian Lee O'Malley. You might know him from the Scott Pilgrim.
Saves the World. Or,
yeah.
So, what's a graphic novel? I don't know what a graphic novel is.
It's a comic book.
It's a comic book.
It is a comic book.
That's longer.
In the form of a book.
It's got a fancy hardcover and everything.
Cool.
Yeah. It's just it's a very long comic book.
I see. All right.
In a hardcover.
So it takes you an hour to read?
Like 6 weeks.
An hour or 6 weeks, one of the two. All right. Thank you, sir. What do we got left? We have favorite things we've done. We've got why don't we do the invitational?
Okay.
All right. We've got the invitational this week. This is the Pokercast PokerStars Invitational for PokerCast listeners. It is $1.10 in the private tab of the tournament's lobby. It is at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern every week. Last week, Roscoe here went deep in the.
It was a very, very fun
single draw deuce to 7.
My first time playing 6-handed triple draw.
I saw you were playing like a nit. I was watching your feed again on the PokerCast Twitch feed.
Yeah,
you were folding like deuce 3-5, jack queen, 5-handed under the gun, and like,
oh no,
the fuck are you doing?
That's
the nuts.
This isn't in limit triple draw.
No. It was single draw, no limit.
Single draw,
but
no
still,
limit.
he's got all the chips, and
Yeah.
everybody's short.
I don't know what very many. Anyways,
Yeah,
my
and,
nittiness got me to 5th place.
It did. You went deep again. But for those that want to check it out on Twitch, what's the channel?
Twitch TV/Pokercast.
Makes sense. Look at that. Check it out. I think you had, a dozen people watching or something last week.
Yeah. Joe Ingram stopped by.
Joey stopped by. That was nice.
We talked for a while.
So this week, that was a great format, by the way. I think a lot of people enjoyed that
really
format.
liked
We'll have
that.
to go back to that again soon. How about Thomas? Let's get a format from Thomas.
Yeah,
Thomas,
pick
if you're
a
going to
game,
have
any game.
If you're going to pick a tournament structure for these fine listeners, what would it be?
Let's do 5-card PLO. Did I do that?
Oh, that's a good one.
5-card PLO.
That's a good one.
Big O.
Oh,
as
Big
they,
O.
as they like
Big
to
O.
call it. Let's go with Big O for sure. Password. What are we going to do for password? We'll talk about the 9 million again. That's a big one.
We did that last week.
We did that last
Wasn't that
week.
the password last week?
It is, but we want to keep that fresh in people's minds, right?
Okay.
Unless you have a different idea.
I don't have anything on
Okay,
there.
so you don't. Thanks for piping in. The password this week is going to be, it's $1 million guaranteed first prize. So let's go with 1 million. Ross, all one word.
All one word.
All lowercase.
Okay.
All letters.
All letters. 1 million.
Got it.
We had a bit of an issue with a space, I believe.
He literally wrote it down for people writing at home, so we shouldn't have any problems this week.
1 million.
1 million.
And tune into the stream. It's fun.
Tune into the stream. Check out Ross taking down the 5-card. That's your Omaha guy, too.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine with that,
That'll
format.
give me more of an advantage.
Thanks so much to Thomas Koo for coming in and joining us in studio. Terrence for coming in as well. Being in town, loving it. Roscoe on the 1s and 2s. We have to thank Ali Nejad, Joe Stapleton, as well, and to you for listening in and taking time out of your precious day to listen to our show. We really appreciate it. Send in those emails, pokercast@2plus2.com, and we will talk to you soon. Give me your landline.
Okay, hold on. Should I call? Hold on, let me call. Should I call the 661 number?
No, this is a Skype number. Give us your number so we can call you.
Okay. This is the part where I pretend that I know what my office number is by heart, but I don't. So, I'm such a knucklehead. Dude, I couldn't use one of these corporate America fucking phone bullshit. God damn it. Save me, dude. Save me from this fucking place. All right, what is my extension, for the love of God?
Thanks for joining us. The 2+2 Pokercast has been presented to you by the PokerStars VIP Club.